thanks for what you do with your podcast and all the rest. You're doing a great job. Hope everybody keeps tuning in. You get a lot of good info, a lot of insights, understandings of how to get strong, how to stay strong, how to use your strength.
You do a great job, dude. You make things better than they are in real life, I think.
If you don't follow Massenomics, y'all do it. Social media, website, everything.
Massenomics.
Howdy, everyone. We're back for episode 348 of the Massenomics podcast, the lifting podcast about nothing, recorded live from western, northeast, South Dakota. My name is Tanner.
And my name is Tommy.
Well, Tommy, some weather we've been having, isn't it?
It certainly is weather.
It's pretty cold.
It's
a bit
been
of a
really
cold snap.
It has been.
But we've been in a bit of a snap.
Actually,
a cold snap.
Thanksgiving. I was going to say 4th of July. That was the wrong holiday.
Yeah,
Thanksgiving was pretty damn nice.
Yeah.
But caught up to us.
And then old man winter rears his ugly head and says, not so fast, western, northeast, South Dakota.
It's that wind.
Here. Yeah.
So you look at the thing, it says 18. It's not that bad. Then you go outside and it's terrible.
Yeah, gust tonight's supposed to be in the 40 miles per hour.
Woo.
It's going to be a breezy one. It's that Dakota breeze that'll get you. It's that unassuming.
It is the Dakota breeze.
breeze.
It's always the Dakota breeze.
Yeah, get yourself some Dakota breeze at Massenomics.com. It's our new limited edition collaboration scent with Obsidian Ammonia, that our smelling salts ammonia that we did this year. Dakota breeze nose freshener. Oof, starting to hit homes just today. I think a lot of people were getting their Dakota breeze scent.
I saw you guys pass that around for Thanksgiving.
We did do that. We'll get to that.
Okay,
But first,
okay.
I would like to tell everyone about... Do you have any preferences of what I tell everyone about?
My preference is whatever you want to do first.
Okay. I'm going to hit us all with a little audio right here. Can I do that? Or can't I do that?
Now you can.
All right. Let's do it.
Is the strength.
Oh, let me do it now.
This is the Strength Company. We've set out to build a better barbell plate on American soil. We ended up here at Wisconsin's legendary Wapaka Foundry. With over 60 years of ironworking experience, the foundry had the knowledge, technology, and processes to build our weights to our exact specifications. The Strength Company plates are slim but rugged, smooth but easy to grip, and electro-coated for durability and to look great in your gym. This is the next generation of American iron. Only available from the Strength Company.
The Strength Company just wrapped up their Black Friday sale also. I think they sold a whole pile of American iron in that sale. Hopefully you got in on that. If you didn't, I don't know. You could try to buy some more from them, but we'll see what they've even got left after the deals that were that hot.
They're cleared out.
Yeah, we'll see. I think they still got something around. So if you are still hankering for some iron, jump over there to the Strength Co. Let them know Massenomics sent you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, the Strength Co.
Should I read one?
Oh, well, I don't know why we wouldn't.
Oh, God. We're splitting ad duties here, huh? I thought this was the week you were taking them all, Tanner.
Oh, boy, that's a lot of pressure. I haven't read the Texas Power Bar ad for a long time.
You actually haven't, have you?
No, I would be a little rusty, unlike a Texas Power Bar, because they're maintenance free.
They are maintenance free.
I do remember that much.
This episode is also brought to you by Bearfoot Shoes. Most shoes harm your mobility by over-restricting your foot's natural movement. Barefoot shoes are designed with minimal restrictions so your feet can move the way they're supposed to. Move with more strength and confidence in every step. Barefoot Shoes was founded by Chris Duffin, who attributes proper foot biomechanics as foundational to his success in squatting and deadlifting over 1,000 pounds for reps. He helped create the company to provide a minimalist shoe that can be worn for anything from deadlifts to walking your dog. Go to www.barefoot.shoes to check out the best minimalist shoes available. Tanner, how many weeks in a row have we worn barefoot shoes now?
I've
lost count. It's
ever
been so
even
many
taken
weeks.
them off my feet. I've been considering sleeping in them.
Well, if you're going to live the minimalist lifestyle, you might as well go all in.
Yeah.
You don't have to go that far, but if you just want to wear something good to the gym,
That'd be the sweet spot,
we would
wouldn't it?
highly recommend Barefoot Shoes. And if you think you're in the market for some of these, make sure to use code Massenomics to save 10% on your order. You can do that at www.barefoot.shoes.
Excellent. Thank you, Bearfoot. Someone asked in the Discord, I saw something about it. They asked if in South Dakota, if outdoor construction and road work pretty much comes to a halt in the winter. And yes, it does for the most part, because it is usually so cold that there's no other option. The ground becomes very frozen very, very deeply down, which is one problem. And also it just becomes like almost unbearable to even consider to work outdoors when it gets like that. So there's...
Unless you're Larry Legend.
Well, even Larry at a certain point, they don't do very much. And Larry is like the king of working long hours all throughout the year. And at a certain point, there's not too much that they can do.
Yeah, I always know... I usually get the report on how the frost is because you hear Larry saying, "Oh yeah, the frost is out of the ground now, so we're back to whatever the hell they're digging up 24/7."
Yeah, the frost will get real deep here pretty soon, so it comes to pretty much a halt. But you brought up the Dakota Breeze. We passed the bottle around at Thanksgiving, which this is the second year we've gotten to do that over the holiday season, and had some new takers this year, and it doesn't get old seeing that reaction from people.
Really enjoyed Tanner's son Jack's response is he looks just like completely shell shocked. Like he almost didn't even have a reaction other than the initial jolt. It was like he was like glossed over, like he didn't know what had just happened to him.
And he insisted that we do it. He was very gung ho on it because he remembered from last year how we kind of did this, and he didn't really take a good, I can tell, I can watch someone, and if they kind of do it, and you can tell based on their reaction, did they really get it? Mm-hmm. Or did they just
were they like, ooh, that's stinky? Yeah. Or were they like, oh, damn, my world just got rocked?
Yeah, and you can tell. And last year he did this, so he's never really taken a full, so he had it way, way too close to his face after I'd told him he doesn't need to do that. And he got like a real shot of it there. And then that's what happened. And it was like he has a face of just immediate regret.
Oh my God.
Oh no, what is that?
Yeah. It was a look of horror in his face that he had made a terrible mistake.
And several comments from people like, oh, it's not like smelling. It's not like you're just smelling something. It's not a scent that you're only. It's not just a scent here.
Yeah, you're not like, oh, I need to smell what this smells like. No, it's a sensation.
It's way beyond one of the senses. The sense of smell. It goes far beyond that. It's much more of a feeling that you get. Like,
it's turning on the flight or fight. Is really what it's doing.
Yeah. So the Dakota Breeze, get some for yourself.
It looked like the rest of the family had a pretty good reaction to it.
Yeah, and I was just loving it. It's just so funny to see people try it. I think we'll do it at Christmas with a new batch of people again.
Some more unassuming victims.
Yeah.
I mean, we basically did just watch when we were at the Arnold. That's essentially what Travis did for 3 straight days.
That would be fun.
He was across from us and he's like, okay, here you go. And just see, all day long.
Because it makes me laugh like every time too. Seeing, especially someone that is unfamiliar with
when
it.
You're so caught off guard.
Yeah. It's not so much like if I watch you do it, it's not going to make me laugh that much because I already know like what that feels.
There's no, like my world's not being turned upside down. I know where I'm going with it.
But when people get it for the first time, it's like, oh.
It is funny to think about though. The first time we ever used smelling salts was at our first powerlifting meet.
Yeah.
And you're it's before you're about to go on the platform. So you're in a very different mindset then. To think if your first time was sitting around a living room or a dinner table, you'd be so caught off guard if that was the case.
That would be a much, much different experience. Yeah.
Yes, it would be.
So that was the holidays. And we did finish up our Black Friday sale. It wrapped up here Monday. I guess Cyber Monday is kind of the official close of that. And then we're just last day of November. Maybe that's the official close of it. And went really well. We sold a lot of stuff. And so first of all, thank you to everyone that supported us over that point in time.
Thank you so much.
Big shout out to everyone that bought something. We did a whole bunch of customers, whole bunch of repeat customers that we know and love, a whole bunch of new customers that got on the site and ordered something for the first time. So that's super cool. We sold a lot of sweatshirts, a lot of the new tees, a lot of the ammonia. There is some of that stuff left if you still want to get on it. You can still get Dakota Breeze ammonia. That's limited to the 100, but there is stock available of that still. Mm-hmm. Sweatshirts are going to start to be pretty hit or miss depending on...
Sizing is a little all over the place right now.
Yeah, there is not a great selection left. So if you do want a sweatshirt, this would almost be like your last call to try and get something there. And then tees, there's a decent selection of tees. We sold a lot of our cheap tees, though, the $12 tees.
$12 tees got hammered pretty good.
Yeah.
Most of those are down to just 1 to 3 items.
Yeah,
left
you
in
better
stock.
need to be a weird size to be able to get in on some of those.
Yeah, you and your weird sized body fit one of those shirts.
Oddly sized proportions. So thanks everyone again that ordered. It's always really cool. And I got everything packed up and everything is shipped out. Like everything was shipped out pretty much like you should all have it by now if you ordered over
Normally,
Friday sale.
In years past, we've had to talk about how it's just this battle of you fighting orders, but you're such a weathered veteran at this point now that it's just...
Well, and I pretty much just know that I need to work on it all the time or else I'm going to get way behind on it, you know. So I had pretty much every night I worked on packing orders pretty, like for me, late into the night. Mm-hmm. You know, if I usually go to bed at 9 or 10, staying up till like midnight packing orders is really late for me.
That is a lot. That's a lot of orders.
Yeah. So that's much later. And like, it's funny, the DMs I get from people when they get an order fulfillment notification at like 11:30 at night, like the amount of people that will message and be like, geez, what are you doing? It's like, well, if I don't do it now,
it doesn't happen.
It doesn't. I'm like, it's not like Monday morning hits and it's like, okay, I'll get to the order. It's like Monday morning hits like, okay, I'll go back to work. And then like the whole cycle starts over again. And it's like,
yep, just a whole nother delay a whole nother day delay, basically.
Honestly, the thing that probably the biggest factor that makes sure we get, because not all companies of our similar size get them out as quickly as we do. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Like,
well, not all companies of almost any size.
That's
get
true.
them out. It's not just our size.
Some I feel like it's just if you're of a certain size, like if you're moving 10 times the volume of us, you should have the labor to help with it, but still then, you know, you're paid labor and paid labor doesn't care as much as an owner and stuff like that. So I get it. When you're of a certain size, it's just maybe won't be quite as fast if you're in like a certain area. But for others of more similar size to us in a more similar position, when it is usually the owners doing that, sometimes what I think they don't have going for them is the anxiety that I get of being behind, because I get so much anxiety from being behind, I almost can't allow it to happen. Like I will do almost whatever it takes to not get that far behind because of
a pile of orders. Good. I'm just going to do them all.
Right. It's like I'm not going to sleep good anyways. So I might as well just work on these for a long time and get a lot of them done.
Yep. Dump 100 more on me. I don't care. I won't go to sleep.
Yeah.
So did you load up the truck were they all pickup items?
Well,
because in the past you've kind of backed up a truck to the post office, haven't you?
Yeah, no, I have it's part of the speed is having got better systems down over the year. I mean, that's a joke, but also kind of true. Like it is like, I know what to prepare and what to spend my time on when and stuff like that, just because of the multiple years of doing it and going through like this sale. But it was all pickup outside of UPS. So some of you may notice at times we utilize UPS now for some packages, which we never used to. And it's just honestly a cost thing. There's certain weighted or sized packages to certain parts of the United States that are just so much cheaper to go UPS than USPS.
Really? Like an actual, like more than just $1 or $2?
Yeah, it could be like $4 cheaper on a single package. So, and UPS at this point won't pick up from my home. So we do have to take UPS there. So, you know, there was maybe like 50 packages to deliver there. You know, it's just
but it's the same thing there. You can basically just dump them and go.
Yeah, it's all ready to go when it gets there. Some of the employee, like there's one employee at the UPS store that is very grumpy.
Really?
Very grumpy. She could put some of the USPS people to shame. To say the truth. That being said, our USPS people that do the delivery route to our house, the normal one and the like backups, are awesome.
Are they?
Yeah, they are great, and that's actually important with what we do to have someone that like we trust.
Oh,
and
for
like,
sure.
Like that, it's like
count on that they're actually gonna put the packages.
Yeah, and they are really good. So I would, you know, I've joked about USPS employees before on here, but to be fair, the ones that come to my house to pick up Massenomics stuff are like A+.
Top tier.
Yeah, they are top tier. They deserve a raise if you ask me.
Good.
But yeah, everything's shipped out.
Awesome.
I guess there's even like we're recording on Wednesday night. As long as you ordered by Tuesday, all of that shipped out right now.
slam us with more orders, I guess.
Bring them on. Bring them on.
Now your Black Friday shopping is done. Now it's time for Christmas shopping.
That's true.
So get after it.
Yeah, so you could still order if you realistically, if you want to get something Christmas gift, you definitely have time to get it ordered still, and we'll get it to you before Christmas. Shipping, like actual USPS, is going to get a little bit more behind, no doubt, right now, but we'll do our part. That's what we can always guarantee. Is we'll
count
get it
on us.
Yeah, we'll get it into the mail system as quickly as possible. So yeah, come back, get a last few items if you want to. We still got some stuff left.
Well, and we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but just because Black Friday is done doesn't mean the year of releases is done.
That's
so
true.
There's one more thing coming in December.
Yeah.
So you got that to look forward to.
Yep.
And it's a fun thing, too.
And do look forward to it. Do look forward to it indeed. You know what else you can look forward to?
Well, I'm incredibly thirsty right now. Can we do that?
Let's look forward to a can. Yeah.
I don't know if I made like these turkey bacon sandwiches tonight, and I ate a lot of bacon, and I think just the salt, I just can't get enough liquid. Oh, we got the koozies.
Yep.
The rest of the koozies have been packed up. I thought we were out of koozies. So,
no.
You are going to need to
We shipped out a lot of koozies, too, because free koozies with every order. Shipped out hundreds and hundreds of koozies. Everyone listening should have a koozie in
maybe
hand
a few stickers here or there,
Lots
too.
of stickers, too.
This is a what's in the can, because I'm quite certain we have never done this one before.
Man overboard. Should I go traditional mode or switch this to Wumbo? Some people were saying I switch it to Wumbo. I'm going to switch it to Wumbo. Wumbo is an upside down M. It's for W for Wumbo.
Oh, I thought it was Massenomics.
I think Wumbo is an old SpongeBob joke.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to steal your koozie here.
All right.
There's your can. There we go.
Okay, I can confirm it's a can.
Is it cold?
Oh,
or is it so hot that it feels cold?
Oh, that's just a refresh. Just the crack on that
The
alone
crispy
was
crack.
refreshing. Yeah. Oh, what is that?
Okay.
It smells sweet. I definitely get a sweet aroma from it without even taking a sip. I can already tell you it's good. What is this flavor? What is that flavor? I'm almost leaning towards the old classic. When I don't know, it's you know what, it tastes a little cherry like.
Really? That's what you're picking up here, huh?
But I don't think that's right. What is that flavor? I don't know. Is it like green apple? It's like a sweet, fruity flavor, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to... It tastes good. I do like this. Let me try one more. What is that? I cannot...
Would you say it's on the tip of your tongue?
Yeah. I don't know. Is it pear? Am I getting something pear? Was it strawberry kiwi?
Okay.
I'm just gonna
now
name all
you're
the
just
fruits.
guessing.
I'm going to go I'm just for the sake of it, because I don't know. I'm going to go cherry of some
Okay,
sort.
why don't you take a look here? We have a Waterloo peach.
Oh, yeah, it is peach. Yeah.
Pear. You were getting very
Yeah.
close with pear. Now I think it's super obvious probably when you taste
It is.
Yeah.
Definitely is peach. It does. It tastes like a peach. Oh, it was just, that was a situation where I just couldn't peg that flavor.
Well, and I was laughing in my head because what was it? 2 weeks ago we had, it was some ridiculous like mango cherry or mango kiwi, and you basically guessed it.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how the hell you got that one.
Yeah.
And then
I couldn't get
peach here.
So this is a what kind of peach? Waterloo peach. This is good.
Strawberry mango, yeah. And you said like some type of like citrus mango or something.
Yeah.
I think the words you used.
This is tasty.
It is pretty good. I don't think we've had this before, have we?
No, I don't think so. I'm going straight to a 4.
I think it's a 4 too.
This is a 4.
And if you're a peach person, like this is maybe even more than a 4.
Yeah.
I don't mind peach stuff, but this is pretty good.
Do you like peach O's though?
They're fine. I would prefer a chocolate candy of some kind if I had to pick. But Peachos, those were tasty.
Yeah. I would give this a 4.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Do you like actual peaches? You don't really like fruit.
Not really. I couldn't even tell you the last time. Last time I had peaches was probably some peaches in a can like 8 years ago.
Peaches come from a can. They were put there by a man in a factory downtown. Millions of peaches.
Is that
peaches
President
for
of the
free?
United States of America? Is that
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Peaches for yeah, that's right. We get peaches. We get all the fruit.
Peacho. They never heard of Peachos? They say peach rings. Isn't it Peacho? Isn't it? What's that brand called? Trolley?
I think so. Maybe I made up Peachos, but
No.
did it ring a bell to you when I said that?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, look up Google. Yeah, Peachios. They're Peachios.
Peachios.
Trolley. Trolli. Peachios. That is, I don't know if that's a Midwest thing, but that's the brand around here.
Yeah.
Peachios.
I like a peach, but peach is one of those fruit that ripeness is key in order for its success.
I believe that.
Pear is also in that same boat.
Yeah. Yeah, there's the picture right there.
There they are.
Peachios.
Those look good. I would eat one of those.
They do
I would eat a
kinda
couple of those if I
actually,
had
yeah.
those.
Feel like
Yeah.
gonna make my tongue bleed in the process.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are like a tongue bleeder sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. It's all that sugar and sweetness.
Yeah. This is great can though. 4. I give it a 4.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've been there on something new.
It's been a hot minute, that's for sure. Did you hear that? Did you hear the big news in the lifting world today? It's what shook the lifting world, took us all by storm.
I'm just still recovering from all the shaking that's been going on.
Liver King has been exposed. He is apparently not natty.
Who would have seen that coming?
Crazy, isn't it?
Wow. Yeah. It's turns out it was all a great big lie this whole time.
Yep, it was a lie the whole time, and it is big news in the lifting. I mean, it's kind of what everyone's talking about right now. All the posting is all about Liver King. It came out, more plates, more dates, blew
the case wide open.
And you said you watched
it was an hour-long video. I basically put it on the background like a podcast, and I was very impressed and entertained. I thought they almost treated it like a documentary. I thought they did a great job. I don't really ever watch his stuff, More Plates, More Dates, but I was thoroughly impressed to the point where I now pay more attention to his things because I thought they did such a good job with that. So I've never followed the Liver King thing very close because for the longest time, I actually thought it was like a joke that some people were debating him being natty or not. Like, I didn't think it was a serious conversation until I saw enough of it going around that I'm like, oh, damn, people are actually debating if this is serious or not. Like there's anything to debate there. Like it's clearly obvious what's going on. There's this guy hasn't figured out one secret to life that no one else has ever figured out.
That's why the whole thing is kind of funny to me because everyone that I know obviously knows he was on. It's not something you would.
Well, it's like when someone's like, "Oh, did you know that Ronnie Coleman was on steroids?" You're like,
yeah. So you're telling me up until just recently you believed he wasn't, or didn't understand that.
Get how these things work.
You know that every IFBB pro bodybuilder's on steroids, right? And but there are people that don't know that.
Yeah, or you mean the world's strongest man does steroids?
It's
everyone out
they're
there
all on steroids.
does lots of them. That's how you get there,
right?
Some of them don't like to talk about it much,
right?
But that's how you get there. That's just what comes with the territory.
I wonder who the last World's Strongest Man finalist was that was not on steroids.
That's a good question.
Who it was and how. I wonder what year. What's people's guess? Hit us in the comment section.
Because
what do you or ever? I mean, yeah, it's probably happened before, or do you think it's never happened that a World's Strongest Man, a natural World's Strongest Man finalist has existed?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Do you think there's ever been one?
Finalist? When you say make the finals, like the top 8
Yeah, I would
guys or
say
whatever.
top 10.
Top 10, whatever the number is.
Yeah.
Boy, I don't know. That's hard to believe. It's maybe possible
There
one
could
guy
be
slipped
somebody.
in here and there, but
it could. I believe it could have happened. I don't know that it could happen today, and that's why I say at some point.
I don't know how it could. I don't know
Right.
how the hell you would recover from that training ever if you were
Right.
enhance.
Well,
it
and you
anyway.
just can't be like the competition is too deep,
Just too extreme.
good. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
But that's all that to say that, like, yes, obviously Liver King is on steroids.
that is what actually shocked me the most is
Yeah.
the number of people that were having debates, and it doesn't help when you have people like Mark Bell that were interviewing him and kind of being just not pressing him on it at all. Like, oh, people say you do these. Oh no, I don't touch it. And he's like, oh, so you've never done it? No, never. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then like even someone, I think Mark Bell even had a thing. It's like, oh, I asked him and he said he didn't, so I have no reason to not believe him. It's like. I mean, do you take everyone at face value?
Yeah,
Like, is
yeah.
that how? I don't know if that's how you should be treating that. But.
So I guess like the morality question of it is he owns like what, a supplement brand, and has probably made a whole bunch
and I
of
didn't
money.
realize that either. Is that he owns this? Actually, I knew that somewhat recently. Is this Ancestral Supplements? Because also the supplement thing still. This is why I can't even relate.
I know, it's
Like
just so
the
far
industry
off.
we're
from-
in,
yeah.
like we talk about all the time. We just can't relate to like about 90% of what's in our industry because almost anything in the supplement world's gimmicks. We've actually talked to people that have been in the supplement industry.
We believe in basic supplements.
Well,
we
we've
believe in
even talked to people
protein,
that have been. We won't say
creatine.
names.
Yeah,
we've talked to people that have had supplements and been like, "Now we had to quit because unless you have gimmicky dumb shit, people
Right.
it's the base is already covered. And if you have a somewhat intelligent audience, they don't need gimmicky dumb shit."
right. We talked to people who said we were trying to just sell like just the most basic supplements that just are proven to work, but we really couldn't do that competitively. You really can't, because then you're just selling to like the relatively highly educated
And we don't have a
consumer.
problem with companies selling like pre-workout.
Right.
I mean, we used to have a supplements, but they sold
Yeah.
pre-workout.
protein, whey
protein,
protein, creatine. Yeah.
And like, yeah, those are proven to work. And if someone wants to do their own flavor of pre-workout, like, sure, that's fine. I don't think that's gimmicky or dumb. Like, it's just some caffeine that's flavored a different way. That's fine.
Right.
But it's all this other stuff that's like, I've never ever met someone in my life that the reason that they were not achieving their goals was because they didn't have the right vitamin D calcium mix going or whatever the hell they think they need to. Liver pill capsules, bone marrow capsules, whatever the hell it is. Like, I've never met anyone that like, that's the reason I'm not achieving my goals.
Yeah.
Not saying that that person doesn't exist. There's probably one of those people out there that was extremely deficient in something, but that's one of those people. That's not enough to justify these things being like tens of millions of dollars or hundreds of however much he was making. It doesn't make any sense that people fall for this shit still to this day.
Well, and so like the question to me is like the morality of it, like, so he's lying about being natty and then selling the supplements to people who, so people think he got that way because of
Well,
the
and yeah,
supplements
we
he
don't
took.
have any problem with people doing steroids. Like, there's
Right.
like if you want to do steroids, you do you. Like, we don't care. That's
Right.
fine. Like, lots of people do them. Whatever, sure. But it's when you lie about what you have achieved living a certain lifestyle,
Yeah.
and then promoting your lifestyle to promote your brand, but then also the results you got were not a byproduct of your lifestyle. They were a
Right.
byproduct of you doing steroids.
And like my one other note on that, not to defend him, but just from my take of it, I almost don't care that much that he's doing that, because in my mind, I know I don't care if he's saying he's natty. I know he's not. I don't, like, it's not like, but I guess it is tricking some other people.
And
but
that's
to
why
me,
you
I'm
want to be like, okay,
well, I'm going to be an
yes.
informed consumer and know that like I can't be that gullible that I can't believe everything everyone tells me. I'm not going to buy every $1,200 vacuum that a guy walks up to my house and tells me it sucks better than every other, I'm like, I'm not going to, like, it's on me a little bit as a consumer not to be duped by every.
And that is the
dumbass.
annoying thing about it, is that there's still like grown adults that are that dumb. The where I give it more of a pass is definitely in high school. Like, you did not
Right.
Even in my early 20s, I did not get what was going on.
Right.
And I think unless you've been around for maybe a while or have seen enough things that you probably, or if you're not paying enough attention, you might not get what's going on.
Yeah.
And so that is the general population for sure. So there, in that case, you are duping the general population with all of this, which is feels a little morally unethical.
Right. No, it is. It is, and I don't want to defend him for it, but I do just kind of go back to like, well, come on, like
it is
like,
like, how dumb are you? And also,
right.
Like, why does seeing that guy's physique be like, okay, now I need his supplements? Like,
That's what I mean. Like,
again, it's so like, how do you think that the missing piece in your whole puzzle is the supplements?
yeah.
Like, there's like 30 things that should be addressed before you get to bone marrow capsules or whatever the hell he is.
Right.
But I guess what the whole way that he was supposedly found out was some people, I believe as a bodybuilding coach, had received emails from him, and Liver King went very in depth on his goals, what he was trying to achieve.
Yeah.
So apparently he was taking like $12,000 worth of $12,000 a month worth of HGH, which, damn, that's an expensive hobby, man.
That's super expensive.
But
That is
I guess
lot
it's
of
basically
money.
a business write-off when it's
Well,
all marketing, right?
I guess. I guess it is, though, actually. Like,
I mean,
kind
well,
of.
that's the reason he was doing it. Like,
Right,
he even
right.
said in one of the emails, like, hey, I haven't started my social media yet, but our goal is to be at 1 million followers by this date. And they got there before the date. Like, so he had this thing was
That's
all
kind of impressive.
It
even.
is like, it was very premeditated, very calculated. And they did what they said they were going to do. It just shows how like this thing wasn't like some accident. Like, this guy wasn't just eating meat one day and he got popular. It was like, no, there was a whole team behind this. There's video guys, creative people,
Like
all
the
these
plan was
strategy
in place
people.
before even forming an IG.
I'd love to know how
page.
much they spent to like make that happen. You
Yeah.
know, but part of it was hugely organic too, though. Like,
Right.
once he started getting out there, it was just everyone was like, "Yep, got to get him on the podcast. Got to get him on the podcast. He's so crazy," and see what he has to say. And man, the guy, because I didn't follow any of his stuff. Hearing some of the things he talked about, I'm like, man, you like sound like the snake oil salesman. Like, all of the, like, does your life suck? Let me save you. It's like, okay, when someone starts leading with that, the whole of your life sucks, I can help you. It's like, all right, instantly right there. Like, every red flag should be going off as soon as you hear that phrasing in some variation.
Yeah, true. I honestly, I've been aware of him through most of this ride, but like, I've never listened to him, any of his stuff he says, until this came out. I was just curious if he had like issued any form of like rebuttal or statement or anything like that.
I haven't looked.
Well, no, he hadn't. I looked on his Instagram page and he hadn't yet, at least that was like yesterday. But like, that was the first time, because I watched a couple of his videos and I even had the thought to myself, I'm like, this is the first time I've actually listened to him speak, because I've seen all his stuff and like never listened to any of it before, because it's not like,
It just doesn't really cross it's just so out there as far as being gimmicky and stupid.
but maybe we can get more plates, more dates.
I think it'd be cool.
on
I think
the
the guy,
podcast sometime.
I was impressed with the quality of his content, but I don't know how we've been bouncing around so much. Basically, though, Liver King sent out some emails to the supposed bodybuilding coach detailing everything that he was trying to do and what he was taking, what he wanted to start taking, all this stuff. And in this More Plates, More Dates video, he breaks down, he goes through all the stuff. He has like the guy's blood work. It goes on and on and on. And then he goes back through his emails from like a year and a half ago and actually finds that he had received a similar email from Liver King himself wanting to hire him as a bodybuilding coach at the time. And he's discussing that he was going to start, doing these other steroids, this other gear. And he goes, oh, it could also be great content for your channel. So he took a very different approach in time from wanting to almost openly discuss his stack of what he has going on to denying it very enthusiastically.
But like the like next level hypothesis to the whole thing is, and I see them talking about in the Discord now, is they had this plan from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Is this part of the plan from the
and
beginning?
it could
Because
be.
is this bad? Is this even bad PR for him?
Well, for him, no, because like he
Exactly.
doesn't. I mean, like
He's just going to keep doing what he's doing, and now
Yeah.
there's probably hundreds of thousands of extra
his
people
name
that are
actually
aware
probably
of
got
him.
Googled. Like,
Right.
like they're probably pulling the analytics and being like, your name, as popular as it was, just got Googled 100 more or 1,000 more times than it was before.
Right.
And you're being featured on all these things. And then it's just up to people to decide, like, okay, are you fine with people being like frauds and phonies and
Right.
and like just running, like just you're literally just a number for them to make more money. And a lot of people are fine with that. They're like, no, I'm gladly spend $1,000 a month on dumbass supplements. But we're not like that. That's why I just
true.
can't
Yeah,
relate to
yeah.
any of this.
It does bring up a good point, though. What I've realized through this, sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah. Ain't that the truth?
As a callback to last week. So that's the Liver King.
Yeah. Yeah. If you want a way more in-depth look at
Yeah.
that, like an hour in-depth look, check out the More Plates, More Dates video. He does a really good job going into all the specifics of it way better than we ever could here. But also, yeah, don't be a dummy for supplements. That's not what's holding you back.
No. So More Plates, More Dates. His name's Derek. Is that right?
I think.
Like in the process of trying to get, once we try to get him on the pod, a lot of times when you try to get people on the podcast, what I said earlier didn't make any sense, but what does make sense now is it's not what you know, it's who you know.
In that case, yes, it is.
That makes sense there, doesn't it?
I think is he out of Canada too, maybe?
Oh, really?
I think so. And we
Okay.
pretty much are in tight with the Canadian
We have a lot of
contingency, so
Canadian friends.
We have a lot of
so,
pull in
yes.
that way. So
we'll be
we
like,
could
oh,
probably,
you're Canadian, you'll be
like,
very interested. in
everyone's
what
like,
we've
oh
got
yes,
going
we
on.
all know him. We're all
Yeah.
Canadian. Yeah.
A very quick supporting our supporting members. Last week was like our longest ever supporting our supporting member segment.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
We were due for one.
This week, much shorter, and I don't know if it's because I've
The holiday.
it's probably because the holiday is
holiday.
actually a good thing. And this is a segment each week where we give back to our supporting members. They choose to support us, and we choose to give back to them. And this is one of the ways. Other ways, they get a discount code. They get access to our Discord community, get to watch the podcast live every week like they are right now if they want to. A whole bunch of other perks. We've actually been talking about a future perk. You know, in the past, we've sent out, say, a membership card for our supporting members. We've got something in the works now. It's too early to talk about it whatsoever, but if you're considering joining, I would say now would be the time
Now's
to join
the time to do it.
because we're working on like a second thing. It's not a membership card. We've done that before. But there's
a little something more.
the wheels are turning on something else. So come get joined up, and also you can make it in supporting our supporting members. It's more so something I missed from last week. Big Tyler also competed in the garage gym competition, and he did a 370-pound open trap bar Jefferson deadlift.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then, okay, this is breaking news. Oh, wait, okay, I see what he's saying. Big Nate is still working on the Massenomics bingo. I don't think that's ready to roll out yet, but I've seen some stuff on that, and Massenomics bingo is going to be super cool. And that wasn't the thing we were just alluding to, but Massenomics bingo is in the works, is going to be very cool for everyone to play along with. One other thing, everyone's been wanting to know about the meet. We've been talking about the meet. We can't say for yet if it's for sure happening, for sure not. What we can tell you is probably by the end of this week that we're recording, we'll probably know that.
We're on the hunt for some venues at the moment.
Yeah, we're going venue shopping tomorrow. So if things played out correctly,
Then we just need to cross the I's and dot the T's.
Dot the T's.
Dot the lowercase T's.
Yeah, and dot the J's. So that could happen. We could be looking at putting out that date. Who knows? Maybe next week by the time we record, we could put that out of when the Massenomics.
We could have a formal
2023
announcement.
meet.
RSVPs could be going out in the mail.
That's correct. So we got a lot of exciting gears in motion right now on various things.
We could say we have a lot of balls in the air.
We do.
Just trying to catch all these balls.
Yeah, in our mouths.
That's naturally.
Yeah. Okay. Would you like to hear one more thing from one of our sponsors, Tommy?
Yes, please.
I want to tell you about our good friends over at SPUD Inc. They're over at spud-ink-straps.com. They just finished up their Black Friday sale also. One of the items I've had my eye on is the Ballers Bar. It's made only for the pimpest arm and back training. The bar takes the standard curl bar and combines it with 4 strategically placed 2 3/4 inch balls. The first set is right at the first bend of a regular curl bar, and the second set is at the ends. Unlike a regular curl bar, the first bend of the bar is much harder for bigger guys and people with minimum supination in the bicep shoulder mobility to grip and use. Basically, this bar makes it much easier to use for almost everyone. You have to really look at the bar. I'm trying to describe it, and the more I'm thinking, just go to spud-ink-straps.
With balls on it.
It is. And check it out at spud-ink-straps.com. It's well priced. It would ship for free because all orders over $75 at Spud Ink ship for free. Go get a Ballers Bar. get a bow tie, get a little bit of everything from Spud Inc.
Tell them Massenomics
Let
sent
them
you.
know we sent you.
And this episode is also brought to you by SwissLink. In 1995, Maurice Bigmo Huffman founded SwissLink. He had a partner based in Switzerland, and their mission was to bring authentic Swiss Army goods to the United States and into the hands of those yearning for quality gear at uncompromised prices. Now, for nearly 3 decades, Big Mo has been traveling far and wide in search of the best items for military forces around the world. Big Mo doesn't only find authentic military clothing for SwissLink, he brings in everything you can imagine, from Czech Army bedpans to Italian champagne glasses. At SwissLink.com, you can find classic military surplus uniforms, a great selection of military-issue backpacks, tools, wool blankets, NATO fuel cans, gas masks, emergency food, first aid kits, survival packs, camping gear, and so much more. SwissLink's unrivaled collection and dedication to quality customer service sets them apart from the rest. Treat yourself to the real thing with authentic military surplus and save 15% off your first order from SwissLink.com with code MASS, M-A-S-S, at checkout. Thank you, SwissLink.
Thank you, SwissLink. All right, should we say goodbye to the Discord and get our guest, Big Mike, on the horn?
Yep, bye, Discord.
See you, Discord. All right, Big Mike, I'm coming for you. There we are. Got him.
Hey, what's going on, guys? How are you?
Hey, Mike, is that you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How you guys doing?
We're good.
We're
You're
good.
on with Tanner and Tommy.
What's up, Mike?
Wonderful, wonderful. And thank you guys for having me on.
Hey, we're excited to get you on here.
You're bringing the energy right away. We like this.
Yeah.
A lot of caffeine.
Locked and loaded.
Yes, sir. Always.
All right, good. No, we're excited to talk to you. We got a lot of stuff to ask you about. And so for anyone that doesn't know, what would you give for your quick little, that's not familiar with Mike Bartos or MB Power Center, what would you tell them quick about why we'd be wanting to have you on here? You know, what you're up to in the strength training world.
Okay. So, we're a business. We're located in Youngstown, Ohio. And like a lot of businesses that cater to strongman and powerlifting, somewhat of a niche business right now. We really cater to the population of people that I've been around basically my entire life through strength sports. People that are very serious about what they do, whether it be powerlifting, strongman, training for a specific sport. And those are just kind of the people I've gravitated to and the thing I've loved my entire life. And so the whole business is really built around, serving the people that kind of have the same interest that I do.
Yeah, for sure. And you make some really cool equipment, obviously, which we want to. We're kind of equipment junkies, so we love equipment. We love talking about equipment, and we'll get to some of that stuff for sure. And also, you've been training yourself at a high level for a very long time, and just are straight up very strong yourself. Like, when did you start? When did you get serious into lifting, or like when would you just have said I'm a power lifter? How old were you?
Well, I did my first powerlifting when I was 15.
Okay.
And so it was February of 2003. And so I'm going to be turning 35 in March. So just about 20 years of, really serious, dedicated strength training. I started a few years before that. I was a really overweight kid growing up. And so I actually started off like the whole exercise thing by losing almost 100 pounds as a young kid. And, then just kind of gravitated to, I went to a school where football was really a big thing. You show up in the weight room and you're a young kid and you're the weakest one there. And obviously you want to correct that as a 14-year-old boy.
Yeah. And did you get strong right away? Obviously I think you've gotten to you've deadlifted, I think, was it 805 for a double or something like that? I know you've gotten very, very, a high level of strength. Like, did that come to you quickly? Like when you started lifting when you were 14, 15, was that something that you got, like you could tell right away you were like born to get strong, or has it been a long, has it been a 20-year journey to get that strong?
Well, it's been a 20-year journey. It's kind of interesting because when I first started, I don't know if it was because I had just lost so much weight, but like my first few experiences with weights, I was incredibly weak. So the high school I went to, your typical, great people, but, you walk in on day one and it's like right before the season's ready to start, you're a young kid. We need to find what your maxes are, and so even as a young kid, pretty much like bottom of the barrel, starting out as a young kid, high school aged, really thin after the weight loss and whatnot. But I mean, over the course of those younger years, I think actually the first time we did like a max squat and deadlift when I was a young boy, I remember I missed a 185 deadlift at 14 years old. And I had squatted a plate. I hit 135, when I was 14, just starting out. And then as a young kid, I pulled my first 700-pound deadlift when I was 17.
That's pretty crazy.
Big turnaround. But I'll tell you what, honestly, I don't consider myself a very gifted person. I've never really been the best athlete on any team that I've been on or anything like that. Even as a young kid, my brother played, college football at a high level and whatnot. My dad played college football at a high level. I'm really not that athletic. I'm really not that gifted. I just kind of have a tendency to get obsessed with things and just stay very persistent with it. And that seems to be the formula that worked for me.
Well, I was going to say, to see that progress over that amount, you must have been very focused though. Like you said, were you ever missing workouts over the course of that 4 years?
Oh no. So we actually, when I was a young kid, I was powerlifting obsessed, to where, my parents probably, that's amazing. They didn't think something was wrong with me, but it was kind of the beginning of the internet era. And so I would spend a lot of time just sitting on the computer at home, reading Elite FTS, reading Westside articles and whatnot. And also, it actually was kind of a blessing. But when I was a young kid, my first meet I did when I was 15, it was just a small local meet. I won Best Lifter. And the prize at that meet was a year subscription to Powerlifting USA. And so I had, for me, you get that magazine and you would just read and then reread over and over again. And just kind of got really obsessed as a young kid with it, but there was no missing training or anything like that. And, to be honest with you, even when I was a young kid, I always did well in school, but most of my day was pretty much putting lifting things inside my school books and kind of daydreaming about training as a young kid, and then scrambling a couple nights before the test to make sure I knew enough to at least get a B on it.
Yep. So thinking about 2005-ish, Ohio powerlifting. So was Louis Simmons and Westside Barbell, was that your strongest influence then at that point in time, would you say, or not?
Yeah. That was, especially that beginning era there when I first started, no one even knew what raw wasn't even a word.
Right.
And so it was basically, if you went to a meet, if you went to a USAPL or IPF meet, you wore single ply. If you went to another federation, you just wore whatever you wanted. And so that was definitely a huge influence. So I never trained regularly at Westside. That wasn't a thing that I was there all the time or whatnot. But when I was a young kid, Louis invited me down as a teenager, and I was there maybe 4 or 5 times over the course of a year. But I tell you, what an unbelievable influence as a young person, because I always say this, I like to learn lessons from people. Sometimes the best lessons you really don't even realize you learned until 10 or 15 years later. But I always say, even the first interaction with him, as a young kid, I just pulled 700 at 17, and then I did a full meet shortly after. And I think it was 715 that I missed. I pulled 685 and missed 715. So he invited me to come down and train. And I walk in and he asked me, how do you train your deadlift? And he let me speak like a child for about 10 minutes straight. And he listened to me, nodded his head back and forth, said a few things. And at the time, I didn't think anything of that. And then, maybe 10 years later or so, I was I kind of thought back on that interaction, and I thought, this old guy that had been around forever, that knew 1,000 times more than me, actually gave me the opportunity to speak. I'm assuming with his personality, he was probably trying to see, was there something he could do? Could he pick out anything that would help him or help his lifters or whatnot?
Right.
And, and so I think, Louis is definitely, was a unbelievably confident guy. Especially with the way he presented himself and the way that he spoke and whatnot. But I always look back at that interaction and I try and model that. I don't do any paid coaching anymore. We actually sold our gym in last year, but I still go to a high school a couple of days a week and run the strength program for their football team. And like, I actually get input from the kids. Like, I listen to them when they speak to me. And that was a lesson I learned as a young kid. Like, listen how the kids feel and listen what they're experiencing. And, you know, even though they might not know as much about training as you do, you can get positive feedback that'll help the programming.
Yeah, that's really cool.
No, that's super cool. And so you talked about the gym there, and then obviously the equipment's something we want to talk about too. So what of those was first? What did you do first? Own a location or start to make equipment first?
The gym was first. So I started saving up. I knew I wanted to have a gym as a young kid. Just like a typical young kid, you know, you get Christmas money and stuff like that. Like, I started dishing money away pretty early in life with the intention of opening a gym up. And then I've always been a busy person working, you know. Even when I was college age, I was a strength coach for 2 different high schools simultaneously for their football teams, you know, waiting tables, doing odd jobs and stuff like that. So I was able to, when I was 23, open up our gym. You know, it was really a small location and really basic, but that came about 4.5 years before we opened up the equipment business. And I really enjoy the coaching side of things. And it was basically, I would say 95% of the client base were junior high and high school age boys, you know, that were training for football and training for sports. And so that's an age where the kids are really impressionable. And when they come in, like I say, my goal with every kid when they walk to the door was making them want to train for the rest of their life. And so it's pretty cool. You know, a lot of these kids now they weren't much younger than me at the time. You know, they're approaching 30 years old, and I'll still get texts on a regular basis, you know, them in their basement lifting at 5 o'clock before they go to work in the morning. And that's a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, for sure. So you had the gym for over a decade. Then you say you just got out of it recently.
Yes.
What led you to make that decision then? Was that tough?
It was really a timing thing, you know, as far as just how much time I could allot to certain things. And I felt like, I mean, to be a good coach, I'll tell you what, I have a tremendous amount of respect for gym owners, especially gym owners that are coaching a lot during the week, because there is a lot of back end work to coach well. Just the mental side of it, like of creating really good programs and putting a lot of thought into things. And we started getting, you know, so busy with the equipment side, and I was dedicating so much time to that. I just felt like I really couldn't give the same time and effort as I used to. And rather than going in and half-assing it, you know, we decided to move on from that and just focus solely on the equipment business.
So is that your full-time position? You know, what you do full-time is the
Yes,
equipment
sir.
business. Okay, cool. Youngstown, Ohio, is that on the eastern edge of Ohio? Where's that at?
Yeah, so it's Northeast Ohio. You're going to be about just about 50 or 60 miles south of Cleveland.
Okay. What?
Yeah, not far. Like and then in reference to, like, you know, how east we go, we're just about 20 minutes away from Pennsylvania.
Okay. We like to talk a lot of silly geography stuff on the show. Sometimes we're from what we call Western Northeast South Dakota.
All right, I'm confused already.
Yep. That's the goal. So we're the just kind of the northeast corner of South Dakota, but on the western edge of it. So that's where we're located. And us and our listeners, we have a lot of discussion over the years about the Midwest. We consider ourselves to be in the Midwest, but on the western edge. Where you live, being a native Ohioan yourself, and where you're at, are you in the Midwest?
Yeah, we're in the Midwest.
Because there seems to be some debate
about Ohio
like,
as the Midwest. There's a lot of debate about that.
I think so, because wasn't that kind of like that terminology? Wasn't it made like before? I think it was made before, like, a lot of the Western part of the country was even considered states yet, I believe. And so I think that's how it got its name, right?
We have seen so many different theories on this over the years of people we talk to, but that's kind of what makes sense to me. That you know, if at the time you lived in New York City and you're like,
Ohio,
West is, right. It's Midwest, you know, it's halfway west.
Of
what was west at the time.
I mean, I think I pretty much everyone I've ever spoken to that's ever used that reference about Ohio has always called it the Midwest.
Okay. But really what you are probably more specifically is you're in the Rust Belt, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the theme in the area.
Yeah.
You know, old steel mills that went down and whatnot. And so Youngstown's a really great area to be in. It's kind of funny, you know, people that live here say negative things about it, but
that's every
But I think that's the entire,
yeah.
but especially the Midwest in general. I think people, it's that
people live there,
self-deprecating
like,
thing.
yeah, they like to dog on it. Yeah.
yeah, it's strange to me because I'm like it's a really good place to be. I mean, the people most people here are pretty solid people. They go to work, they work hard every day, they care about their families, and that seems to be the really the thing that holds most people together in this area. And I'll tell you, like, the cost of living in Youngstown is not bad at all, and it's a good place to be, but yet, you know, probably 3/4 of the people you talk to call it a shithole.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I call it home and I love it. So
I kind of feel like you just described South Dakota too.
Right,
though. Like,
right. That's what
okay, there we go.
it applies universally though. Like people
Yeah.
do that everywhere. I think it's
Right.
yeah,
right.
but I don't know why that is. I mean, even like, you know, we have Youngstown State here, and you know, like I have kids who go to Youngstown State, and I'll be like, you know, do you decide where you're going to college? And they'll go, yeah, I'm just going to Youngstown State.
Right.
And I'm like Youngstown's a good school. Like, you know what I mean? There's a book there and there's a professor and you could learn. And
Yeah, I've never been
but
one
they-
to do that. I don't do that thing where you're like, oh, this is where I live. I hate it here. And I'm like, move.
Yeah, you can leave.
Like, yeah, like if that's what you really think.
yeah, you're not chained to the location.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good. That's a good take on that, I think.
Yeah. And you know what? And honestly, I'm a a people person. I like being around people, and this area, I mean, I've even noticed as we travel around the country, especially when you get into bigger cities. I mean, I'm not saying that people aren't good people in big cities, but it's different the way people interact with each other. You know, like when we've traveled to really large metropolitan areas, you know, even just like the small talk, you're standing in line at the grocery store. A lot of people have conversations with each other. You know, you walk past somebody and like, if you make eye contact, you say, hello, how are you? And as we travel to some bigger cities, you know, just for business and whatnot, it's like everything is super fast paced. You know, like you say hello to somebody on the streets and some of these bigger metropolitan cities, and they kind of look at you like you're crazy.
Yeah, what are you trying to sell me, or what's your problem?
Yeah.
Saying hi.
Yeah. I think it's definitely true.
Mm-hmm.
We've got talking about equipment. Yet we've got Massenomics Gym. It's our kind of little club gym here in Western Northeast South Dakota, and we've got ourselves a stone of steel there. We've got one of your loadable circus dumbbells. I was trying to think if we've got anything else. Those are the two pieces of equipment for sure that come to mind. You know, a couple of the big ones of yours that we've got. What was the and obviously the Stone of Steel, a very cool piece of equipment, and I want to talk about that. Was that your first major piece of equipment that you made and started selling, or what was the first?
So that was the first piece that we started the business with.
Okay.
And I kind of was a tinkerer for a few years before that, and tried a bunch of things, not necessarily stone related, but just gym things that, you know, they kind of came in and went out, and I really wasn't crazy about them. And really the whole need, you know, was, or the whole reason that I started making things is I just wanted some stuff for my own gym. And, you know, so I would just, if we wanted a certain kind of pull down bar or a certain kind of attachment or something, I would just go have it made. But the stone, you know, that was the first thing that we decided to actually take to the market. And, you know, a big part of the reason in the beginning was it financially just couldn't make one of them. You know, I mean, we did that for prototypes or whatnot, but but I love the idea, and really for a few years became obsessed with the idea of making it. And that was the thing that started it pretty much all for us.
Do you remember what was the first time you were like, do you remember the day it hit you then when you thought,
I'm onto something?
Yeah,
here.
where you thought, oh shit, if we could make one out of metal and load it to whatever weight we wanted to. Like, did that day were you sitting on the toilet and something hit you in the head and you thought, Stone of Steel?
That's exactly how it happened. So I was on the toilet, and so we were actually, training with the kid at the time and named Blake, and so we had two pretty big gap in between the stones that we had there. Like there was like an 18-inch that weighed 240, and then I forget what the next diameter up that we had. It was a 20-inch, but had some weight in it. It went up to like maybe 370 or somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And he was lifting the 240 easily, but couldn't budge the bigger one. And I just kind of said to him, I was like, hey, wouldn't it be nice if we just had something we could open up and just throw some plates in it? And then I went to the 20-inch, and I knew the diameter of a plate, but I just wanted to see. So I kind of like set a plate on top of it. I was like, that would fit in there. And then I just, thought about the idea of two Hemis, and, it wasn't like a complete idea all at once, but conceptually, we were just training in the gym and thought it would be a cool thing to pursue.
Yeah, that's cool. So how many prototypes did you go through until you got like what is considered the finished product?
We went through, well, there were probably 5 or 6, different sets of hemispheres that came into play. But then we would if we didn't like something, we would cut stuff out and, kind of redesign it and salvage what we could, because I'll tell you what, when we were making prototypes, when you're buying low quantities of hemispheres, we were paying like between $1,100 and $1,500 a half.
Yeah.
So, you bring in 2 Hemis to do a prototype on, and you're already 3,000 in. And so I was trying to be very careful when we were actually designing these things. So we probably went through like maybe 10 or 12 hemispheres, but nowhere that actually produced these hemispheres had the sizes we needed. So we played around with I believe some companies had 16 inches that they could form. Other companies had I think it was maybe 22 or 23 inches. So conceptually, we didn't have the exact size that we wanted, but I knew that if we could make it work in those sizes, we'd be able to just, get to the point where we have the size that we wanted. We could make it function the same.
Yeah, and I guess for anyone that's listening, that maybe if you're more into powerlifting and you're not as into strongman or whatever, for anyone that doesn't know, the Stone of Steel is a loadable steel Atlas stone. Is it looks just like on the surface, it looks just like an Atlas stone, but it's made out of metal, and you can take it apart and load weight to whatever weight you want to. So it's really in the world of strongman, it's probably like the craziest new product that it's not new anymore, but just on the surface seems like the most innovative. Yeah, it's the wildest product that you couldn't have imagined that it's one of those things after the fact. It's like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense now when I see it, that it exists, that someone else went through everything. But the fact of someone coming up with it seems hard to believe.
Well, I'll tell you, do you know what I actually love the most about the Stone when it comes to actually the competitive side of strongman? So the first year that the Stone was in the Arnold Classic in the amateur strongman show, it was on, main stage at the amateur world championship finals, with 10 competitors left. And I believe it was loaded, it was like 365 or 385. And it was a new implement. Nobody had touched it. Nobody had trained on it. And a lot of people really struggled with it. Zach Hadge ended up being the only one that lifted it on the main stage at, I believe, 385 pounds, which, for the top 10 amateurs in the world, 385 isn't all that heavy. And so a lot of people really struggled with it. And I think mentally going in, not knowing what to expect and whatnot was kind of, I think maybe a mental barrier for them. We had a couple experiences along the way. We were out in Anaheim and at one of Ode Hagen shows we were sponsoring. And, I like observing people, especially people that are great at what they do. And Martins Lisis, this is long before he won the, World's Strongest Man and all these big events. Again, at this show, some people were struggling with it. And one guy got really frustrated. I think he attempted 400 pounds on and couldn't get it. And, he was just motherfucking, and he spit and was screaming and everything, and then that was the end of it. He was the last guy to go. And I will never forget, Martins walked up to it, and, he wasn't competing. He was helping there all day, and, goes down, picks it, sets it on his lap, kind of feels around, touches it a little bit, throws it over the bar pretty easily. Goes, push it back. Does it again. push it back, does it again. He does 3 reps and he looks at me and goes, so all you do is lift it. You know? And I was like, and I tell you what, and I actually told my wife that day, I was like, Martins is going to win World's Strongest Man.
Yeah.
He is a mental giant.
Yeah.
And, you know, but like, as you watch the progression of things, so it went from there. And then down the road at America's Strongest Man, a few years later, you had Trey Mitchell, who's an absolute animal.
Yep.
Wesley Claiborne, another guy that's just a savage. Eric Dawson, who owns Titan Barbell out on the East Coast. Those guys, they were all lifting 500 for reps.
Yeah.
At America's Strongest Man. And to see that progression in a short period of time, like to watch actually high-level competitors adapt to a new implement in that period of time and to perform that much better on it was actually really incredible for me to see.
What product of yours that you make do you personally use the most?
I'll tell you, I love our PR platform. You know, especially being a young guy that like grew up in this area. Actually, Dick Hartzell, the inventor of Jump Stretch, was, you know, right up the street from us. So I was exposed to band stuff as a very young person. I actually worked out at Dick's gym for a long time when I was a teenager. And, you know, so our PR platform, it's, you know, I'm almost sure you guys are familiar with the product, but it's kind of built like a power rack, you know, where you could do pulls from, you know, pin pulls from like 11 up to 24 inches. And, you know, but there's a series of band pegs. There's band pegs on the ground. There's 4 on each uprights, a front band peg. And so I use that thing a lot for my deadlift training, but I also use it for tons of accessory movements. And so that gets used quite a bit. You know, there's the small things like we have, you know, different series of like pull down bars and things that are really heavy grip emphasis. Those get used quite often. You know, I'm actually down in my basement where we have the gym now looking around, but our dead sled gets used constantly. Our wheelbarrow gets used constantly, you know, and that's kind of the cool thing is most of the stuff that we sell, you know, throughout the week, I'm using a lot of this stuff in my own training on a very regular basis. And, you know, so it's cool to sell it, but it's also cool that I actually enjoy it and a big contributor to my own training.
For sure. Is there anything you make that, I don't know, that you don't use, like not because it's not useful, but just it doesn't fit into your training really regularly?
Yeah, I tell you what, my elbows are so beat up. I really can't overhead press that well anymore. So a lot of things like the logs and the dumbbells and whatnot, we do have some dumbbells around that I really like using the fatter handle dumbbell for like heavier one arm rows where there's a little bit more of a grip emphasis. So I'll throw that in, but any overhead pressing, especially heavy overhead pressing, just beats my elbows up. And that kind of carries over to everything where it's hard to put a squat bar on my back. It's hard to hold onto a bar to deadlift. And, you know, at this point, you know, training is I always enjoy training and it's fun, but it's not as fun with, you know, swollen elbows and you can't put your hands on a bar. So I just try and avoid the things for the time being that are beating me up. But I would say like the overhead implements would mostly be the things that I'm not using all that often.
For sure. Where do you think most of the people that are buying your stuff, is it ending up in, you know, commercial gyms, strongman gyms, powerlifting gyms, or do you sell more to home gym users, or what do you have any idea what the percentage is of where most of it goes?
It's actually, it's split just about down the middle. So really, I'll tell you, like the really gyms that cater to strength are becoming more and more common throughout the country. And, you know, fortunately, we've been blessed that a lot of these gyms have found our equipment valuable enough that they're investing in it for their athletes that train there. In the beginning stages of things, I would say it was more for the home user. And it was also for people that were competing in these events that were actually using our equipment because we were sponsoring all these events. So, you know, a lot of the people that were competitors were purchasing and, you know, training at their house or whatnot. But I would say it's pretty much split right down the middle right now.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. Do you got anything different that you're working on right now? Are you always working on new stuff, or anything in particular that you're working on now, or maybe nothing you want to talk about yet?
Well, I always have a couple things that I'm messing around with. You know, right now, nothing that is ready to be sold yet, but without going into too much detail, I have a really nice chest supported row machine that does a couple things that other chest supported rows don't do on the market. And just trying to find out the correct angles and hand positions and whatnot on that, and messing around with prototypes. But for a while, I'll tell you, it was kind of a crazy period in the steel industry, just because not only did steel prices go through the roof, but, availability went down. Labor force was a little bit low, where, everything kind of got backed up for a little while. So for a while there, it was pretty much just head down, trying to fill orders and keep up with everything. And it kind of cut into the actual prototyping time. But we're getting back to position in 2023 where the plan is for, the bulk of our most popular products to have most of them in stock. If you're going to get black on them, and 2 weeks or less on a color option. And then that'll give us an opportunity with a lot of this stuff in inventory to be able to dedicate a little bit more time to prototyping and new equipment.
Yeah. Where do you see, I don't know. Here's how I'd say it. Some equipment companies out there are positioned differently. Titan Fitness, right, would be a commonly understood one, that they're selling cheaper products, and they're also selling cheaper made, like a lower grade product.
Maybe
in a lot
playing
of
the
cases.
volume game a little
Right.
bit.
Right. Whereas I would say your stuff is pretty well known for being, very high quality. Is that? Is that kind of the position you see yourself in comparison to other equipment manufacturers?
Yeah. And so, there's a lot of great manufacturers out there, and my thought process is, so we have a home gym in our basement, and, fortunately we live in a home that the basement is just a big giant open rectangle. So when we closed the gym, we put some turf down here, rubber flooring, and then we brought in all the equipment that I wanted for the training for me and my training partners. And when we invested in the equipment down here, my thought process was, I'm 34 years old. I don't plan on stopping this unless I absolutely have to one day. So hopefully this is going to be a, 40 plus year endeavor from where I currently am right now. So when I purchase equipment, I'm okay buying things that are a little bit more expensive because they are higher quality, but I know I'm going to have this thing forever. And so that's the position that we take, is, kind of serving the people that think the same way as us. And, when you buy a PR platform off of us, I want you to hit a deadlift PR now and also 25 years from now. So, quality is a big emphasis for us. Because if you're serious about what you do and you're planning on doing it for a long time, in my mind, that's really the only option. And, so we've been fortunate. That is we build a solid reputation in that. And as we build new products, that's definitely on the forefront of our minds.
Is there anything that's frustrating being the owner of an equipment company? Anything that kind of grinds your gears over the years that you can think of?
Honestly, I love this stuff. You guys have a business. It's any business you have, there's going to be ups and downs and frustrating periods and whatnot. But as far as actually, on the end of serving customers and building equipment and whatnot, there's really nothing that frustrates me to the point where it bleeds over for long periods of time.
Right.
We've been pretty fortunate. I'll tell you, especially in the strength community, a lot of our customers take training very seriously, and they're very strong people themselves. And then on the back end of that, you see these people that are like monsters, but they're really they really are thoughtful people and nice, good people. And I think that really resonates. That's a thing that goes throughout permeates through the whole strength community. So, those are the people that we're serving. So on a customer side, every now and then you'll run into some type of issue, but I would say all in all, that even with customers, we're dealing with people that are serious about their strength. I could relate to them on a personal level, and have had a lot of really excellent experiences with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We've had, Tanner, you maybe can think of someone I'm missing here, but so we've had Dave Tate from Elite FTS on the podcast. We've had the guys over at Stray Dog on the podcast. Obviously, Rogue is out of Ohio. You're out of Ohio. Why do so many equipment manufacturers exist in Ohio? How does Ohio have that going on for it?
In this area, I will say, I look at other states, I mean, like Texas has great lifting it, and a lot of other states have great lifting. I think strength here is, I think because football is so big,
Right.
Like pretty much every teenage boy is going to spend bare minimum 4 years in a weight room. And I think a lot of those people carry on, and that's just something that stays with them for the rest of their lives. So I think that would be the explanation of why, strength is a thing that's pretty prevalent here. There's a lot of really strong people in this state. As far as why people getting into the manufacturing side of things, I guess it may just be the spillover of the people that have been exposed to it. There's just more exposure. So there's more people that want to make it their life. And, and so they dedicate more time and effort into it, try and decide to make it a business. But I guess that would probably be my best explanation. But I mean, it really is. It's kind of crazy in one state. There's a lot of manufacturers. There's a lot of great gyms, a lot of great lifters.
There is
The Arnold Sports Festival.
The Arnold. I mean, like in our hometown, we have like a couple guys that pull like into the mid to high eights just in our hometown. There's several guys that, you see their stuff on social media that are squatting into the sevens. One of my training partners, he squatted 854 weighing 227 when he was 23 raw. And, so you get guys like that, he doesn't have a career in strength, but he started lifting when he was 14 years old, and he's turning 30 pretty soon. And he's in my basement with me 5 a.m., 4 days a week, training before work. So it's just kind of something it seems like a lot of people gravitate to in this area.
Yeah. Have you ever had a booth at the Arnold Sports Festival before for MB Power Center? We did not have a booth. So we sponsored the Amateur World Championships for a very long time. So I think we did 4 or 5 years of the Amateur World Championships. So during those periods, we would bring all the equipment down, and then we would also volunteer in the field. So we would actually be like loading plates and doing all that stuff and everything the entire time we were down there. So we never actually had a physical booth, but it's crazy down there. Yeah, it is crazy.
I mean, it is. Yeah. I mean, the people I went there as a kid, like I told you, as a young guy, being powerlifting obsessed, like for me, the WPO finals, that was the Super Bowl. And so only being 2.5 hours away from Columbus, my dad and mom were awesome, but my dad would take me down there. We'd get a hotel and I'd watch both days. And, and so being a young kid getting exposed to that, like when you're young, I guess you might not be really that aware of your surroundings. But the first time I was down there as an adult, like I remember we were standing there and like I had to kind of just step out into the crowd so I could get in line to go to the bathroom. It's like you take a half step out and then you go back in. You take a half step out and you go back in, and it is crazy. It's amazing. I mean, it really is the amount of people that show up, and pretty much from every corner of the world.
It's wild. Yeah, it's something everyone should experience once at least, for sure, I think.
Yeah, and we sponsored a lot of those big events. We did there was a disabled strongman exhibition that were all wounded military veterans, and it was on stage as part of the bodybuilding show, and it was like kind of like an exhibition that took on in between posers, and that was a really cool thing to be part of when we were down there, and even that was, I mean, we weren't like in the same room where we were having a one-on-one conversation with them, but Arnold's a larger than life figure.
Yeah.
And so we were in the same room with him for maybe like 20 or 25 minutes. And, just besides like hi and handshake, there really wasn't much conversation, but being around him, you could see like why he is a magnet for people, even just the way he carries himself. And he says something nice to every single person he talks to.
Yeah.
Like I'm watching him, like he shakes someone's hands and like, man, look at those arms. How long have you been lifting? And I'm like, you're not impressed with my arms.
Yeah, but Arnold complimented me.
And Arnold knows that, like, for any guys like any of us that have been lifting for a really long time, if Arnold says that to you, whether it's a little bit of him,
you're like, I just want to believe it's real.
It's like, I don't care that you won't forget that for your entire life. You'd be like, yes, Arnold said that to me.
Yeah. Like, could I take my phone out and take a video? Could you say it again? Yeah.
Say it slower. Mike,
But-
we've got
yeah.
this game we play with everyone that comes on the show called Overrated Underrated, and we've got a special set of overrated underrated topics just handpicked for you, and
Okay.
we'll read them off to you. We'll go one by one, and it's just your job to decide if each one's overrated or underrated. But the most important thing is, well, first of all, you can elaborate on it as much or as little as you want, but you can't ride the line. You have to ultimately decide if each one is over or underrated.
All right.
So if you're strapped in and ready to play, we'll get to it.
Let's do it.
Okay. Overrated or underrated heavy swings?
Underrated.
So tell us
So-
about heavy swings.
All right. So if you do a heavy swing correctly, you can get a lot out of a heavy swing. I think the accumulation of volume on an exercise that is relatively easy to recover from is just a winning combination. And so we sell a little, a power pin that's like a plate loaded handle to be able to do swings with. And it kind of, the way it happened was I tore my hamstring. I attempted an 840-pound deadlift, tore my hamstring, couldn't lift for a while. And I was just trying to find anything that didn't aggravate it. So I started swinging a little 25-pound kettlebell I had in the gym. Didn't hurt that bad. Every few days I would grab something that was 5 pounds heavier. Eventually we ran out of kettlebells. So we made our first power pin. And I tell you what, I wasn't able to deadlift heavy, but I just pounded tons of volume on the swings. And I noticed my conditioning improved, my grip improved. I started putting size on in my hamstrings and my glutes and even in my upper back. And I was doing like a lot of 10 by 10s on the minute. I like to do a couple of different kind of swings. If it's more hypertrophy oriented, I like to actually attach a band to an anchor point behind me and then attach the band around my waist. Just so there's a little bit more incentive for full hip extension and get the glutes involved. But then for power development, I really like attaching a band onto the power pin. And that's going to do a couple things. So it's actually going to pull that pin down, speed up the eccentric, create a stronger stretch reflex. And, with the stronger stretch reflex, you're going to be able to have a more powerful eccentric. And then also having that attached to the pin, there is that incentive there. It's accommodating resistance. It's getting heavier as it goes further away from your center of mass. So you really can't perform lazy reps. But I guess, make a long story short, I had never done swings, and I started doing them, fairly often. And then after they got pretty heavy, it was twice a week. But I didn't deadlift from the end of October until 3 weeks out from the Arnold. It would have been 2020, the COVID year. But I hammered tons of swings, backwards sled drags with our dead sled to build up my quads, bunch of upper back grip and ab work. And the first time I pulled, I worked up to like a pretty conservative 585. A week later, pulled 770 with 100 pounds of chain on the bar, and then ended up going to Arnold and pulling 840. And I hadn't touched anything heavier than that 770. And, I kind of said, well, I think maybe there's something to this. But, depending on what your specific goal is, there's a lot of ways to be able to manipulate, the training variables. But I definitely think if more people involved swings in their training, they could be more well conditioned. They could definitely put more muscle on, and even from the side of power development, they can go a long way.
What's like a coaching cue, or what's something someone does wrong if they don't know how to do swings correctly? Like, is there something you would, if you're teaching someone
common mistakes?
Yeah, right.
So I see a lot of people on the internet, like they don't finish with their hip extensors. So you see them, and it's like, if you're really squeezing your glutes hard and contracting like your glutes and hamstrings hard and bracing in your torso, it's going to be really hard to hyperextend your lower back. Just like, even if you're just standing there and you squeeze your glutes and hamstrings as hard as you can and try and hyperextend your back, like there's an irritating effect. Like if you squeeze your glutes hard, like the muscles around your lumbar spine are going to get really tight and rigid all the way up. And so I see a lot of people, they finish up hyperextended in the low back. They're really not bringing their glutes into play. And they're basically just letting the kettlebell swing them rather than, or the power pin, whatever they're using, swing them rather than them actually controlling the pin. So when I coach that, I always like to think it's almost like when you pull down on the pin, and it's coming down on the eccentric, you want to actually pull the pin towards you, whether you have a band on it or not. create force on the way down. And then, so you pull the pin towards you. And then when you extend back up, I like to think, I always do swings with bare feet. And I like to think about digging my feet into the ground, like pushing my big toe down, almost like I'm gripping the rubber floor. And when I stand up, I'm going to pull the ground towards me. And as I'm pulling the ground towards me, that's going to get more hamstrings and more glutes involved, really incentivize a hard hip extension. And I think just being conscious of that, it's kind of hard to coach over the phone, but
Yeah.
I could see people do that improperly. And then, like we talk about, like gripping the floor, pulling it towards you. And like, they're like, okay, most people that do that, even just standing there, they go, okay, I feel this now. But, swings, like, that's why I said, if you do the swing properly, you can get a lot out of it. But it's like any exercise. If you're doing like a swing, you want to build up your hamstrings and you build up your glutes. If you're not in the right position, like, you're just going to keep making the problem worse.
Right.
So it's just an exercise, but it has to be performed properly. But yeah, so it's pull the pin down, and then as the pin is extending back out with the hips, pull the ground towards you, and you really, at each rep, you want to stand like fully erect, brace your torso, squeeze your butt, and you're never going to stop that pin, obviously, up top. But like at the top, I almost think like it's a standing plank.
Yeah.
The whole be rigid, the whole body should be contracted as hard as you possibly can.
All right. Good stuff.
Yep.
Overrated or underrated waking up early, like waking up pre 5 a.m.?
If you guys dug into my life.
Oh, we did a little research.
A little.
All right. So I wake up at 2 every day. And so I would say waking up early may be overrated. I think it's a necessity if you have to. So like, really the only time I can get productive training in during the day is about 5 a.m. And if I wake up at 4 a.m., then I don't have time to eat and get myself ready and do all the stuff that I have to do. So generally what I do is I'll wake up around 2, spend the first hour and a half of my day really just organizing my day, getting some paperwork stuff done and everything like that. Drink some coffee, get to the point where I feel alert, eat a pre-training meal at 3:30, take a shower, start warming up, and then come down into the basement and get my training done so I could leave for work shortly afterwards.
2 is really early.
So what time do you go to bed at?
We got to be keeping you up much later than normal right now.
Yeah. So I'm not an exciting person. I'm usually pretty tired most nights by about 7:30 or 7:45. And most nights I'm sleeping by 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're still getting
that's-
some sleep in. You're not.
That's
Yeah,
not
I'm still
crazy
getting-
early though.
Yeah.
Like I don't get up most days until 6, and I'm usually still tired by 8 p.m. to tell
Oh,
the truth
God.
anyways, but
Yeah. And it's like even I mean, throughout the day, like obviously optimally I would be getting a little bit more rest than that, but it's like, I'll tell you what, I think you could adapt to a lot of things. And every now and then I'll get like I had a little adductor strain when I was squatting today. I think some of those things would be avoidable, but it's like virtually no one in the world does this professionally, as far as lifting weights go. Like that's such a select few people that just have a combination of unbelievable genetics paired with unbelievable drive. Like you really have to be a special person to be able to make it to where lifting weights is your full-time job.
right.
And so
Sure.
for
the
me,
right social media following.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's like a multifaceted thing because there's a lot of people out there that are super strong and super dedicated that still go to work 40 or 50 hours a week and they're performing at a really high level. But it's almost like, I think if you can get used to it. And then at the same time, when you are low on sleep, like some days you're just going to realize it's not going to happen, as from a training perspective. And this is really hard for me because I really enjoy training. Like, pretty much during the day. I mean, if anyone that's listening to this has done, business with us, like usually I respond to emails like immediately as soon as they come in. I don't like to let things sit. So my phone's on me, I feel a buzz and I just instantly respond. So the morning training is really like the only time of day I could train where I could put my phone on do not disturb and not feel like anxious about not being on top of things. And so it's a little bit of a trade-off, but some days I come down and like, I'll pick up 405 and my training partner, Zach, who's been around me for a long time, he'll kind of look at me and go, do you want to come back tomorrow and do this? And I'm like, I think that's a good idea, you know? And so luckily I also have some people around me that'll put a leash on if they have to.
All right. Well, that is early.
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, but you know, on the back end of things, you know, there's still a decent amount of sleep. There's
Right.
tons of people out there that go to bed at midnight and wake up at 6 for work every day. So
Yeah, and it's relative what kind of sleep are you getting to? Like when you get like are you sleeping actually? Like if you're sleeping for that whole time you're in there, whereas some people go and lay in bed and like
Have kids waking them up every hour and a half.
Right.
yeah, so it's usually like I'm pretty adamant about once it hits 8 o'clock, I just put the phone on do not disturb.
Yep.
You know, and anything that pops in. But like for a while, my sleep was really, really bad. And a lot of it was just I mean, even I think just from like talking about the lifting pass and everything like that, like when I get into something, I really get into it. And there's almost a feeling for me, like our business is ran on the internet, it's ran on my phone. So I constantly needed to be on it. And I would find myself waking up in the middle of the night and like walking over to the dresser and checking emails and checking Instagram and, and stuff like that. And after a while, I was like, this is not good. Like nobody in the world sends you a message at 3 o'clock in your time. You know, if they're on the West Coast and they send you a message, they know it's 3 a.m. Like no person expects you to respond at 3 a.m.
They do expect you to. They're crazy. So.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like, but for a while, like that was the expectation I put on myself.
I definitely get that feeling sometimes though too. I can totally relate to that feeling sometimes.
And even not even just it just gets addicting. You want to know, like, I want to know what's happening next. Like, I got to know what's going on. Like it's
and I'll tell you, and a big driving thing for us was like even in the start of our business, and it's not unique to us. This is an experience that a lot of business owners go through. You know, you start a business and you put out pretty much all the capital that you've saved for, you know, maybe 6, 7, 8 years. And you put that all out and then you just start from scratch all over again. And so the first few years of owning a business are pretty terrifying. You know, it's like there's a lot of trying to figure out how you're going to make ends meet and whatnot. And so I tell you, like, as humbly as I could possibly say it, when somebody orders something off of us, like there's an extreme amount of gratitude, because one thing I always try and do is I always try and remind myself, like, hey, we started in a pretty crazy place, you know, we put everything we had out and there was nothing left and whatnot. And so, you know, it's really when someone buys something off of you, like, especially in an industry that is, you know, it's as saturated as strength and conditioning, because there's a lot of people out there that are selling weightlifting equipment. You know, I really appreciate it. And so there's almost a part of me where I feel bad not being right on top of things. But again, it comes back to, you know, 3 a.m., almost virtually everyone that I communicate with is pretty happy getting an email at 7 a.m. the following day. Yeah.
No, that's true. Okay. Overrated or underrated concrete Atlas stones, traditional Atlas stones?
Okay. So I'm going to probably give you the answer that you wouldn't expect me to give. And so I'd say, I don't know if overrated or underrated is maybe the way I'm looking at it, but I don't think they're overrated. I would say, so I would have to say underrated, even though it would probably be somewhere in the middle in all actuality, but I say underrated. I mean, it's a thing that, it's a training implement that's been around forever. You know, I mean, picking up stones and whatnot is thousands of years old. So I'm not somebody that, like, when we came in and did this, like, I had no intention of making Atlas, like concrete Atlas stones obsolete. I just thought, like, hey, this is a excellent training tool. And if you're in a gym that's tight on space, if you're a home gym owner home gym owners are always tight on space. If you want to be able to really program in an interesting way, because with our stone, you can, like, progressive overload is like the premise of every single barbell training program. And so, like, if you want to be able to make 5-pound jumps or 10-pound jumps and do that over a long period of time, it's a really, really useful tool. And so, I think they both have their place. And, it's really hard to say that one should be the dominant one and the other one shouldn't be.
Is using tacky on a stone of steel kind of a mortal sin?
Well, I'll tell you, you know what works really good? Well, first of all, if you put tacky on that powder coat, it really sticks.
Yeah.
Like crazy sticks. Like I've had customers. I actually had a customer out in New Jersey. He had us put a high gloss clear coat on his, and he like that would not be the optimal thing to lift with if you weren't using tacky, obviously.
For sure.
But he uses tacky on that, and he loves it. And he's like, everything you touch sticks on it. But what works really good are just like the tacky towels.
Yep.
Whether they're Gorilla Grip, I think is one of the brands, or basically you see like the football players, use them on their hands or whatnot, and golfers. But like even back we touched on earlier, all those guys at America's Strongest Man that were hitting 500 plus, they didn't actually have tacky on, but they just had the tacky towels. And I'll tell you, the big thing we get from a lot of gym owners too is, it's really hard to have a gym that caters to powerlifting and strongman only. Especially if you're in a market where you have like an 8 or 10,000 square foot building and just tons of overhead, you can't really just say, I'm only going to take these people. And, there'd be a lot of general population. And so even just the cleanliness side of things, a lot of gym owners using a tacky towel, there's not going to be no matter how neat you try to be with tacky, everywhere you go.
Yeah, you think chalk's a problem. Wait till that tacky comes out.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I mean, I see even some of the gym owners that they'll post videos or post pictures on Instagram of just the sinks and the walls in their bathroom.
Yeah, the sinks. Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, I'm sure that was not the intention to leave it that way, but it's kind of hard not to.
Yeah, true.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, last one, and this is just a particularly timely topic that came up here, and you just happen to be on this week, so it's going to be a fun one for you to answer. Overrated or underrated? Liver King.
Oh, man. All right, so I was looking at a little bit of this stuff yesterday. I mean, I think if you've been around for a while, everyone knew that.
Right. Yeah,
I mean,
that's
you
what
see
we
the
would
guy.
say. Yeah,
I mean,
you didn't even have to be around that long. If you just got a little bit of
and by a while, I meant you started early 2022,
Yes.
But, I mean, come on. I mean, now the guy, I didn't really honestly know all that much about him. Obviously I see he has a huge social media presence, and I would instantly know who he was if I saw him, but, so it's not like he was, not in my mind at all, but
it sounds like you're probably about in the same boat.
Yeah, you're actually almost saying exactly what we said earlier in this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's an interesting, it's interesting because I mean, be honest with you, I really don't care. I think, so he told people for a very long time he wasn't on anything. And, I mean, if you just tell people.
Right.
I mean, it's not this is powerlifting strongman. It's not or even for him, I guess ranging into, I guess he's a lot more general population though, more so than that. But I don't know. I think being honest about what you do would be good. And I think there is the side of not of trying to lead people on thinking that if they live a particular lifestyle, that the same thing is going to happen for them. But I mean, on a personal level, I mean, what anyone wants to do in their life is completely up to them. But yeah, I guess when I really think about it, telling everybody that eating bull testicles is going to make you look like that, it's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
So I won't be doing that anytime soon.
Yeah. So you won't be telling people that, or you won't be having the bull testicles yourself.
I will not be telling people that, and I will not be eating.
I've been trying these bull testicles for the last year, and it doesn't seem to be doing anything.
It's been kind of a rough couple days for Tanner because he's rethinking
all the time,
his whole life decision of the last year now.
I've been lied to.
All this work he's put in.
If you had an opportunity to talk to anybody yet, hopefully you have.
Yeah. So I feel like it kind of sounds like you're leaning towards overrated, or
I would say overrated.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, it's crazy. I saw a video. I mean, I don't know if this is true or not, but I saw a video yesterday that popped up, just like a little, minute long Instagram video. The guy said he's making $100 million a year.
That's wild.
It's insane.
I mean,
is it all supplements? Is that his whole thing?
I don't know how. I don't know a person that's purchased one of his supplements. I just don't know like who's buying the supplements, I guess, but I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you where he was really popular when I was training high school kids. Virtually every one of my high school kids asked me, Coach, have you ever seen Liver King?
Oh, really? Yeah.
And so I think like he really appeals to like the young, kind of like the younger generation of kids.
Yeah. And I suppose it's easier to pull that illusion off on younger people that haven't been around as much, right?
Absolutely. You know, I mean, not like to put names out there, but like I've had kids ask me before, like, you know, do you think this person that's won several Mr. Olympias uses steroids?
Well, we literally had this exact conversation. I'm like, okay.
And I'm like, listen, buddy, let's have a talk for a second. I'm like, that man works his ass off.
Right.
Okay. I was like, he lives a lifestyle that most people cannot even comprehend. Okay. Of just like pain and discomfort and discipline and like, and this is kind of like what I would tell these kids, like this person, it's not like they take a drug and then all of a sudden they become that.
Oh, look at all those guys before they did anything and they were already like the freaks of the freaks.
Right.
And then
they were already checking like the 10 out of 10 boxes. Yeah.
If you guys ever seen what Ronnie Coleman looked like,
that is the perfect example of like you would look like that when you were that age. What was that?
I tell you, and genetics are crazy. I got a guy that I played high school football with. He just won. He does not bodybuilding, but he did men's physique. And he was a running back at University of Akron. And he's like, he has no reason to lie to me because I know what he looked like when he was in high school. He's told me I don't take anything. And but like when he was in high school, he was a kid that, you know, grew up like I mean, I'm not knocking him. He says it himself all the time. Like he grew up dirt poor with nothing. He was not eating well. He was just eating whatever he can get his hands on most days. And even when he was high school age, you know, like 6 foot, like 215 and jacked, you know, just kind of like working out in the high school weight room 3 days a week. And so he actually won his pro card in men's physique in his second show. And, you know, you look at him and he's a guy that you look at him and you're like, he has to be on tons of stuff. And like, he has no reason to lie to me. And I know what he looked like when he was 15 or 16 years old.
Right.
You know, so like even the genetics that are out there are incredible. So, I mean, at the high level, you look at those bodybuilders, again, it comes back to the combination of genetics and drive and all that other stuff too. But I try to explain to these kids, like, it's not just that. Like, it's not like if you do that, you become that thing. And but that's a crazy thing. I'll tell you, I have no desire to compete in bodybuilding, but bodybuilding is fascinating to me. I mean, it's even just again, it's almost like the monk lifestyle.
Oh, it's like all consuming everything, you know, like if you just want to get strong, you can, I mean, as long as you're putting calories in and your programming is not totally stupid, you, for the most part, can get strong if you're showing up and putting in the work. But, you watch the videos of these guys bodybuilding and it is just all consuming. It's hard to comprehend even.
Oh yeah. And I have tons of respect for him. I mean, I've listened to some podcasts like I listened to a Dorian Yates podcast that, you know, I think he might've been on Joe Rogan when I listened to it, you know, I listened to like the replay of it a couple years ago. And, you know, you talk about him and I can't remember the exact thing. So I'm probably going to butcher some of this, but like, you know, he was like, so like I didn't stay out past 8 p.m. for 9 years, you know, and like every meal, like when I would go to like a movie theater with someone, like if it was 6 o'clock, like it was a meal time. So I had like my fish and eggs in a container. I would open it up and it would stink and everyone would be staring at me, you know? And I was like, well, I bet after they saw him, they probably turned their heads quickly and pretended like they weren't staring at him. But that's an extreme lifestyle. And even for powerlifting, like I've lost a lot of weight recently. You know, I was up to almost consistently, I was in the mid 290s, but I had a little period there where I hit like 305 or 307 and decided to lean out. And I've actually had a lot of fun really manipulating my diet over time. It's been like building inertia. So like I just started off basically just like eating cleaner foods, not weighing or measuring or anything. And then over a period of time, just like implementing, not even really intentionally, it just kind of happened this way, like implementing one more thing and then one more thing and then one more thing. And then like 2 years goes by and I'm weighing and measuring everything and everything's cooked in advance and all that. And, I've lost a lot of weight and I've maintained a lot of strength while I have. And a lot of things I'm actually stronger, but I feel a hell of a lot better. But even when I was bigger, you talk about having a little bit more of a flexible lifestyle when strength is the only goal. Like, I'm not a drinker, like, by any means, but like, I could remember, like, if me and my wife would go out to dinner, drinking like, a tall beer with my steak and then like going through Dairy Queen afterwards. And then I'd like wake up the next morning and feel like so bloated and strong. But when you get into the bodybuilding lifestyle, I mean, that's just completely off the table unless, you're 6 months out from a show.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, that's good news. It looks like you passed overrated, underrated too. So
perfect.
Big news there to pass.
Well, wonderful.
And that's kind of, since you passed, we will decide to air this episode. If you would have failed, it would have probably had to go down the toilet. But since you did good, we're going to run with it.
Well, I'll be able to sleep well for 2 hours and 40 minutes tonight. I was gonna cry all night if I didn't pass.
You'd be like, no, I just wasted half of my night of sleep, and they're not going to use it.
I can get an excellent 2 hours now.
Well, we actually did try and plan this on a day when I don't have to lift in the morning, so
yep.
I could get a little bit more rest, tomorrow.
Well, that's perfect. We do really enjoy you coming on and taking the time. I think this is really fun, and people will be excited to listen to it.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate you having me.
Awesome.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks.
Yep, absolutely. Have a great night, guys.
Yeah, you too. Thanks. Bye.
Cool beans.
And I guess, I don't know, we didn't specifically say it or tell him to say it at the end, but it'd be MB Power Center.
Oh, yeah.
We should have let him give the rundown on that. But
MB Power Center. You can find all this stuff on there.
I follow him on, we followed him.
Yeah,
on
what's his actual handle?
It's MB Power Center on Instagram is his handle. His name shows up there, Mike Bartos. But then his website, I think, is just, it's mbpowercenter.com. He's got a really good looking website too.
Yes.
Talk about that sometimes.
If you listen to Massenomics, you're not a dummy. You know how to run a computer.
Exactly.
Usually, if you want to find out about the person we had on, you type their name on Google and
you'll
can find
it.
all of that stuff.
Yes.
But yeah, we have several pieces of his stuff. It's all super high quality. I don't think you'll be disappointed with anything from him if you decide to make a purchase there.
Was looking at his site in preparation.
And we have the log too, don't we?
We don't have.
Oh, we don't have
one
okay.
of the logs.
I couldn't remember if we had his.
We got a few different logs, but we don't have one of his.
Okay.
One thing he does have that for years I thought about buying, and I don't know. I kind of forgot
Was
about
it that I-beam.
Yeah,
thing?
that I-beam cable
cool.
attachment, and I keep thinking about buying.
Even
and I don't
just
know
the
why
novelty
I haven't.
of it, because it just looks cool.
It does just look cool, doesn't it? And it's kind of a grip pull, and I'm like, I kind of like that'd be. We have a lot of items like that in the gym.
But it's one of those like weird kind of smaller.
That's what I mean. Like
it
just, I like those.
You can get it,
like
put it
that.
on the wall, and
people it's one of those things. People walk in like, "What is that?" And you try, and you're like, "Oh, I get it." Like that really. So he does. There's a lot of different stuff like that. So check out all their stuff. Good stuff. We didn't do. Has he seen it yet? So we've got to do that before we wrap up today for sure, Tommy. But before we get to that, I did. We talked a lot of training there. It reminded me of Juggernaut AI. Juggernaut AI is.
Did you see their post they had today?
Yeah, good call. Yeah,
man,
it was a test. If you like, maybe for today's ad.
Actually, there you go. Yes.
Yeah. So do we have sound?
The spokesman they have were top notch.
Yeah. That's a really good idea you have there. We'll do something a little bit different for today's Juggernaut AI ad. If we can make this work.
And I'm Tommy of the Massenomics podcast and Massenomics gym right here in western northeast South Dakota. We've both been using Juggernaut for quite a while now. You said you're almost at a year.
About 6 months.
And I'm getting close to a year myself. And right here at the gym, we've had over 10 people using the Juggernaut AI now. And
more starting all the time, too.
And great success. People hitting PRs just within the middle of the program, even at this point. And these aren't people that are not all brand new to training. They've been training for years, and now just months into Juggernaut AI, they're hitting PRs. And I do think Juggernaut's been a resource for us over the years in a number of ways, videos, articles, everything else. And now being able to put that right in our hands with Juggernaut AI, it's become a really powerful tool for all of us here.
Yeah, and it's helped people, not only the guys that have been here for a while, but it's also been really helpful for some of the newer guys too. It's been a great way for them to keep accountable, keep track of their lifts, and watch their progression as the weeks go on.
And really, in a nutshell, they've been able to get strong, stay strong, and ultimately use their strength.
And when you're in western northeast South Dakota, that's what it's all about.
That is a well-crafted
Well
ad.
said.
Yeah.
Well said. And I said guys. That's not just for guys. That's for
Guys
girls
and gals
too.
both. Guys, sometimes we use that as a universal term,
Yes.
though, don't we?
Yes. I don't want anyone to feel excluded there.
And use code Massenomics at the website. Use your web browser. Go to juggernautai.app. Use code Massenomics, and that'll save you 10%. Gets it down to about $30 a month at prices
Keyword
like
is
that.
keyword is you have to go to the website. Do not do it through the app. Go to the website.
Right, for sure.
Code Massenomics. Hook you up.
Yeah. We can just play that every week now. There's an ad right in our pocket.
I like it. All right. Last but not least.
Certainly not least.
Is this ad from our friends at Texas Power Bars. Buddy Caps first started lifting weights in the late 60s and began powerlifting in the mid 70s. At the time, he was working for Image Barbell, building gym equipment. Around 1976, a local machine shop started making Olympic bars for them, calling it the Image Bar. In 1977, Image Barbell became Champion Barbell. It was then that Buddy started looking at the bars with an intent of changing them for the better. Do you think Buddy knew there would be a lot of equipment companies in Ohio one day when he was first starting out?
Probably not. Not back when he was. I mean, he was kind of ahead of the time back in the 70s, though, wasn't he?
He's probably thinking Texas is going to be the hub, not Ohio here.
Yeah, I think everyone knew that Buddy had the market cornered in Texas.
That actually is.
We have to go somewhere farther away.
Yes, yep. So they're like, we need to go much farther east to the Midwest in Ohio. And that brings you to 1979 when Buddy bought his first lathe to begin addressing the known issues. In 1980, his passion, drive, and purpose now had a greater mission. He set out on his own to make what he believed was the greatest bar he'd ever seen and trained with, and the Texas Power Bar was born. It was strong as a house with the best in early and was maintenance-free. Hundreds of state, national, international, and world powerlifting records have been and continue to be set and broken on the Texas Power Bar. To learn more about Texas Power Bars and buy one of their legendary bars, visit texaspowerbars.com.
Thanks, you TPB. Tommy, do you remember how to play Has He Seen It?
I think I do.
Do you have any guess as to what year we're on?
Is it 96?
We're on to 1997.
Oh, 97. Wow, we've played this more than I thought.
1997 this week. And for anyone that's new to Has He Seen It, it's a relatively quickly growing segment of the podcast where we go 1 year a week. We find out a list of movies for that week. Has Tommy seen them?
The most obscure movies from the year.
Yes. And this week we're on 1997. And we're going to do 8 this week. Last week, Tommy got 5 out of 8.
I think I'm going to get 5 again this week, I think.
Yep. Okay. And we're the ones we're taking off the table. Every week I like to do this now. Just take a couple straight off the table right off the bat.
The assumed.
We're taking off Austin Powers International Man of Mystery, obviously.
Yeah.
And then we're taking off Beverly Hills Ninja, 2 that we've talked about very many times on the podcast. It's established you've seen those movies.
It's actually funny when I think flipping through the channels, it was not that long ago, and Beverly Hills Ninja was on TV. And I was sitting there with my wife, and I'm like, have you ever seen this? She's like, no, I've never seen it. And she likes kind of some dumb ones. And it was at the beginning, and I was laughing so hard because it was even dumber than I remembered. And she just goes, this isn't funny. And I was like, really? This is where you think it's not funny? Like Beverly Hills Ninja is where you draw the line?
Beverly Hills Ninja seems older to me than Austin Powers International Man of Mystery.
Yes, I was
a good 5 years older.
Actually shocked when you said that because I would have 100% said the same thing.
That's from 1992.
Yeah, early 90s for sure. And I always think Austin Powers seems later than 97 too for whatever reason. But
right. Okay, those 2 are off the table. We know you've seen those. So 1997, first one, very popular movie, but I don't know where you could be either way on this one. I almost lean towards maybe you haven't seen it, but Has He Seen It? Good Will Hunting.
I have relatively recently.
Okay,
it was.
I would have probably guessed you hadn't seen Good Will Hunting.
I had not seen it until it was a few years back. Was the first time I saw it. Yeah,
okay,
and it's a good movie.
I really like Good Will Hunting.
It's a good movie. Yeah,
I don't know if I'm going to say it's one of my favorite movies, but I really like Good Will Hunting.
I mean, if someone said it's their favorite movie, I'd say I understand that.
Right.
You could have much worse choices there. Yeah,
okay,
it's a good movie.
You're off to a good start. Hey, you having seen that, like that was definitely one of those coin flip ones.
All right.
So you having seen that, you're setting yourself up for a good score already, just one into it. I think think you've seen this one. I know we've talked about it. I know you're aware of it, but I don't know if you actually have ever seen.
Oh boy!
Also an iconic movie in its own right. Have you seen it? Liar, Liar.
Oh yes,
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yes. For the most part, anything comedy, Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
The Cable Guy wasn't really a comedy movie, was it? Because I hadn't seen the Cable Guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a comedy, but it's a different. It's like a way different,
if
darker.
You're 8 years
Yeah,
old.
no,
it's not like,
no.
yeah.
It's not a.
Whereas
it's not quite the Jim Carrey.
when you're 8 years
comedy.
old, Liar, Liar. Oh, that guy's hilarious. There's a divorce and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't really follow that,
Yeah,
but
it's
this
like-
guy's goofy.
But
and-
he like yells stuff.
yeah,
and-
he yells stuff and he beat himself
Gets-
up in the
yeah,
bathroom
right, right.
and like yeah. Oh yeah, so I've seen Liar, Liar many times.
while speeding. 2 for 2. Okay, let's get a little trickier now. Have you seen it? The Fifth Element.
I have seen The Fifth
Oh,
Element.
if you've even seen The Fifth Element, this could be your year, 1997.
Yeah, and when I was a kid, I still am. I just don't watch movies, but I was really into the whole sci-fi. You know, I loved the original Star Wars as a
Yeah.
kid. Like those were my favorite movies, and so anything that was kind of sci-fi out there, I was all about. So yeah, Fifth Element, Colbin, my man. Like
Yeah.
with what the hell's his name? But yeah, such a out there movie. Like
yeah,
so
it is
crazy.
Yeah,
Been
I
a
kind
long-
of guessed that could be a no.
Been a long time since I've seen that movie though.
Yeah. So you're 3 for 3 right here, riding high. This next one's, to be fair, is the most obscure. Many of these on the list are, usually none of them are too obscure. This one's probably the most obscure, so probably most likely you haven't seen this one.
Okay,
of the list,
so if
but-
I can do this, we're looking
Yeah.
pretty good.
Have you seen it? Nothing to Lose.
No, I don't.
It's
what is that even?
Martin Short, or not Martin Short. Tim Robbins.
I gotta see the
is
cover.
the tall
Sometimes
the tall
it's-
white guy is Tim Robbins from Shawshank Redemption. Is that his name, Tim Robbins?
Okay, this movie cover looks maybe kind of familiar.
And Martin Lawrence
Yeah.
is his counterpart. And it's like almost, I think there's like a heist element to it. I've seen it. It's been quite a while since I saw it, but there's a few quotable lines in this movie which really made me think about it. But Martin Lawrence is kind of funny to me. Like some of his like these 90s movies of his, like I enjoyed some of like his over the top personality and some of the lines that he had.
Well, yeah, I'm looking through and this is not anything in here
Okay.
ringing a bell. Like,
Okay.
you could have just made this up and I'm falling
Yeah,
for a joke.
that's what I was saying, that it's the most obscure
Yeah,
of this
I
list.
don't know that one.
There's a really, for anyone that has seen Nothing to Lose, there's this really funny scene that I loved at the time where Martin Lawrence pretends like he has to sneak into a building, so he pretends to be a pizza delivery man. And like I think he's wearing fake teeth and glasses and stuff, and it's just so really over the top that as a kid I just used to think it was so funny. Nothing to Lose. So 3 or 4. I kind of thought that one would be a no, but it just.
But I was like, yes, it's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, I would have been like, damn. Okay. 3 or 4. I have to feel like you've seen this, but you never know. Have you seen it? Men in Black.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That whole sci-fi thing, I thought that
Yeah.
was like the coolest movie.
Have you seen all the Men in Blacks? When I asked that, I
Well,
don't even know what all the Men in Blacks mean
because I
even
think
more.
there's been. I remember seeing Men in Black 2.
Yeah.
It's just after 2, I start to get.
Yeah,
a
I guess
little
to me,
iffy
1 and
on-
2 would be like
Yeah.
does feel like all the the relevant Men in Blacks.
I remember when I was a kid, really thinking the what's it? What do they call the thing where they erase your mind?
Yeah, I don't know.
Just really thinking like, okay, if someone did that to me, would I remember it? But it's like, but you wouldn't remember because of the
Right.
whole things you can't. And like,
So
just
it
trying
could have happened to me. It
wrap
could
my
happen
head
to me
around that.
every day
Yes,
for the last
to wrap my head
entire
around that
life.
was so mind blowing as
Yeah.
a kid. Yeah, that was
It's funny when we started talking about it now, the first thing I think about with that movie is that thing.
Yeah, whatever
Is
the hell it was.
that.
And then the gun, was it the cricket, the little tiny one that?
Oh
like,
yeah, that was.
isn't that what was it the noisy cricket?
No,
or
I
the
think that's
cricket?
what it was.
Yeah, let's see. How many
Will
of these-
Smith in that you think is good? You know, that's funny. He's funny. He's good.
I thought when I was a kid, I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm actually very curious to know how that would hold up now because it's been so long since I've seen it. Okay, Men in Black 2 was in 2002. Men in Black 3 in 2012. Men in Black International in 2019. Yeah, a lot of Men in Black. I've only seen 1 and 2.
Okay.
There's no way I've seen number 3.
So you're 4 of 5 so far this week. This next one, it's funny. Earlier in the Discord tonight, I saw someone post a Nicolas Cage thing where he says, I could eat a peach for, it's a Nicolas Cage quote where he says, like, I could eat a peach for days, or I could eat a peach for hours, or something, some weird pervy quote. And I think it's from this movie.
Okay.
I've seen this movie and I remember that quote, and I don't know if I put them together or not, but have you seen it? Face Off.
I have not seen it. No.
Okay. Face Off is Nick Cage and the guy from Grease,
John Travolta.
And from what I have seen this, but it's probably been since like 1998.
I do remember this movie poster. Oh,
They
and
like-
that's what that meme is from. That fate when he's doing. Can you see him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I never knew what that one was
because
from.
it's super creepy.
Or
movie.
this one too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So many memes
They-
this is what it's from.
Like cut each other's. They cut like one of them. They like cut their faces. Like John Travolta is now looks like Nicolas Cage, and Nicolas Cage now looks like John Travolta, and they have to switch roles. But it's like because they actually think they have like surgically like put their faces on each other's body. I don't remember. It's been way too long, but I know in the end of it, like one of them is a family man and the other one's like a horrible person, kind of like the bad guy. And like, so he's then with Nicolas Cage's wife, and she thinks it's Nicolas Cage, but it's really John Travolta, the bad guy.
Yeah.
So that's
the old switcheroo.
Yeah.
His faces in this it's just
iconic.
That's all they are. They're in so many memes.
So you haven't seen Face Off,
I
but
have
you're pretty aware of Face Off, you think, or a little bit aware of it.
I remember seeing this movie poster and these stills. I mean, these are memes I think you run into on a weekly basis.
Yeah. So you're 4 for 6 right now. I wasn't sure about Face Off. I could have seen that going either way. This next one, I don't know. I would guess maybe you haven't seen it, but I'm not sure. Have you seen it? Vegas Vacation.
Yeah, I've seen Vegas Vacation.
Okay.
Yeah, many times.
Okay.
It ends with them all winning cars.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. Huh?
I put $1 in, I won a car. 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 What did they drive away in?
Was it
Dodge
like a Hummer?
Viper?
Or was it a Viper? Yeah. Wasn't there a Hummer too?
I think there was a Hummer, a Viper.
I want to know this.
Like one of the cars wasn't cool. I'm pretty sure.
That's what I thought. Let's see. Here we go.
Maybe it was a Corvette instead of a Viper, but I could have sworn there's
a red Viper.
Yeah.
It looks like a white Geo Metro.
Yeah, a Geo Metro, really.
The Mustang from that time, which wasn't very cool either.
Right.
And then a black Hummer. All right there. But the white Geo Metro is really like
that's embarrassing that you
that's
put
like
here. I want a Viper and a Geo Metro. Really?
Oh god.
Poor Audrey had to drive the Geo Metro. I think I think the dad drove away in the Hummer probably, or did he take the Viper?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, good movie.
I think it's kind of the last of those movies, probably too.
Probably actually 97. I wouldn't have guessed that's when this was from.
I liked that movie. I liked it.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Okay. 5 of 7. Last one. This could be a new PR if you've seen it. And historically, sometimes we like to end with an Arnold movie, right?
Historically, we do.
Yeah.
Historically, we also don't sometimes.
Sometimes we don't. This week, we're going to. Have you seen it? We've talked about this as of recent, even. Have you seen it? Batman and Robin.
Oh, I don't think I've seen Batman and Robin.
Arnold is Mr. Freeze, right?
Okay. That one's Batman and Robin?
I think that's Batman
This is
and
why
Robin.
I can't keep those damn names straight. I have seen that one.
Yeah.
And Uma Thurman's Poison Ivy, right?
I think so, unless I'm way off. But I think that 1997 Batman and Robin.
Okay. Yes, yeah. Uma Thurman's Poison Ivy. Yeah. Alicia Silverstone is Batgirl. Yes, I have seen that one. I actually believe I went to that in the theaters as a child.
Okay. So you'd have seen it 6 for 8 for 1997 then. Batman and Robin, is it a good movie? We've talked about this before.
I don't think it is it?
No, I don't think it is. I think it's a bad Batman.
I never in my mind, I always think this is Batman Forever. Is for what I don't know why in my head that's what that movie's called, not Batman and Robin. But yeah, that's the George Clooney Batman, right? This one, Batman and Robin.
It's a bad one. I know that.
Yeah, George Clooney. Yep.
See, George Clooney just isn't Batman to me.
No.
I don't care how you try and spice it up. That's not Batman.
Nope. He ain't.
You can't polish that turd into Batman, if you ask me.
Robert Swenson is Bane. It's pretty big.
So Bane was in Batman and Robin.
Yeah, apparently.
Who's Robert Swenson?
I don't know. He looks pretty big though.
He looks a lot bigger than
Tom Hardy.
Yeah, Tom Hardy.
Yeah, let's see.
Also, I think Liver King, side note, is like 5'5".
I think he in his emails says I'm 5'7", and I think.
But if he says 5'7",
yes,
how tall do you think
he's
he
shorter
is?
than that. Yes, yeah. If that's what he's owning up to, then yeah, it's definitely less than that.
Because if you're that height, you're probably lying about it a little bit, or you're stretching the truth a little bit. Well, historically, you lie about a whole bunch of stuff. You're probably also lying about how tall you are.
I mean, yeah, he's made much more significant and hurtful lies, so
Right.
I don't think it put it past him to lie about his height a little bit. Well, what was I? 6 for 8?
6 for 8, new PR.
All right.
ER or PR.
That's right. Especially when it comes to movies.
That's what we say around
See,
here.
I'm hitting my stride. I just, I was a little too young for those first ones. A lot of those movies weren't exactly high on the, movie history priority list. So I think I skipped a few of those, and I'm getting right into my groove here.
I can even tell from my own sake that like we're more into the groove in the sense that when I go through, it's like, damn, it's hard to pick out just like 7 or 8 because so many of these movies are like
feel too obvious.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because there's just so many that would be like, oh yeah, of course that would be a one to pick. Whereas in 1991, that wasn't. I didn't.
Because
have
it'd
that
be tough
feeling as
because
much.
it's like, oh man, it's either going to be the ultimate gotcha because you didn't see this
Right.
thing, or it's going to be the worst segment because I picked the most easiest movie.
Right. But I don't like it to be like like it's not fun to me if I'm like, oh yeah, I could pick 8 movies that of course you haven't seen because nobody watches them. But like that's not fun. It's more fun to see like, have you seen like this list of movies that probably a lot of people have seen, So that's, have you seen it? And today, the short answer is yes, he's seen it.
Yeah. Yep. It's been seen.
All right. What else did we have this week, Tommy? Anything that we need to get to,
Well,
or should we
had some other things. I don't know if we need to talk about them yet, though.
We might just have to bring her on in for
no,
landing.
nothing's a priority here. So
Okay. There's always next week in the podcast game,
that's
right?
That is
All
right.
right. Now that we got the pre-show done with, should we just dive right into this one?
Yeah. 2 hours and 6 minutes. Yeah.
Let's dive into this episode.
In the next 5 to 10 minutes, we are ready to get started. So let's do this.
Okay, Tommy, where do they find you at?
Well, there's actually a lot to unpack here, Tanner.
Okay, so we got to get to unpacking first, don't we?
We have unpacking to do.
Yeah.
You can find me at Tomahawk_D.
You can follow me at Tanner_Baird. Just remember, it's science, it's Massenomics, and follow us at Massenomics.
See you.
That's a throwback thing.
Very throwback.